What's going on, everybody, man? I believe this is the Gaming Street Podcast. Me and my co-host Najeh Wilkins, and of course Damian Lewis, who will be tuning in with us very soon. We're tapping in with a full jam-packed show tonight, and we're gonna talk anywhere between Georgia high school football, a little basketball too, a little college basketball, talking tech for all my tech fans out there. This is the show. This is the hub that you need to be. And we will only improve as we go forward. And of course, we're gonna talk. I say college basketball and a little NBA too, so definitely stay tuned. And thank y'all for tuning in. Make follow us. Obviously, you can follow me at Bacon on X. Subscribe to me on YouTube at Bacon Network, and subscribe to Najee Wilkins. You definitely need to do that on YouTube, man. He's supposed to be coming on here pretty soon. So there we go.
My bad, brother. I know I set you up there. I kind of wanted you to do the intro, man. I'm trying to get you more in front of the camera, man. You did a pretty good job. Good job. Okay?
Appreciate that, bro.
Yeah, bro. Good job. And look, y'all, that was all improv either. We didn't discuss that. I just kind of let that happen and see what he was gonna do with it. So basically, he was like pro. You know what I'm saying?
Appreciate that, bro.
How's everything going though? My bad, y'all. Let me apologize for being a little bit late. I had hit the gym, man. One of my partners was a little bit late. But man, you gotta get it in. I had an early run earlier, man, but just trying to stay focused and laser sharp, man. So my apologies for being a little bit late, man. But we got a jam-packed show, as Bacon alluded to, and super excited. But how you feeling today, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I hit the gym myself, bro. You know what I mean? I got in the sauna for the first time in a couple weeks, man. It was good. I got my sweat in. But how many miles you run this morning, bro?
I got in about 4.
That's tough.
Got in about 4 miles, about 25 minutes. So you know what I'm saying? I'll take that. It's progress.
Nice.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's tough. You be flying, bro.
Yeah, man. I be trying to, man. You know what I'm saying? Get it in, get the cardiovascular health, and just stay fit, stay in shape, and most importantly.
For those who don't know, I'm gonna say he was a track star, but he was on the track back during his days in motocross, you know what I'm saying? So he got an athletic background.
Yeah, 100%, man. You gotta be athletic, man. I know Bacon used to play basketball, if y'all ain't know.
Little basketball, little golf, man. You know what I'm saying? Touch a little flag football song. You know what I'm saying? People be like, man, you playing flag, but brother, if you don't jam at the line, we'll get hectic. That's no lie.
Nah, 100%, man. But all right, y'all. So today on tap, man, we're gonna talk a little bit about the quarterfinals. Okay. Just recap that just real quick. Then get into the semis, give some of our picks, players to watch as well, and who we think is going to end up making it to the state title game. We'll talk a little bit about Georgia Tech football, but obviously signing day wrapping up. I answer some of you guys' questions about Josh Petty. If you have more on that, just let me know. But excuse me, he is good to go. I have multiple sources, inside sources around that, so he is good to go. If he hasn't officially signed yet, I don't know if there's been an announcement, but he is good. And then we're going to talk about the SEC championship, ACC. What's on the line? Is Alabama ranked? You know, obviously they're ranked higher than Miami. Do they deserve that? We're going to get into kind of that debate as well and just kind of give our thoughts on that. I did a video on that earlier on my channel. Y'all check that out. Maybe we'll get into some basketball, some high school hoops, the latest that's going on. Chandler reopening up his recruitment, the latest there. And just last night, what a night it was in college basketball. I mean, you had Alabama throttling North Carolina and Duke doing business against Auburn. So college basketball season is here, man, and we're going to have you tuned in. And as y'all know, Thursdays is usually a basketball day, but we're going to kind of combine both of them in there. So, Bacon, I'll have you kind of get it started, man. So, going to the high school football, and I'll actually share the screen here as you guys can see. But let's just hit on 6A. And, Bacon, I want you to take this away as we look at 6A. Just what stands out? Which matchup are you most kind of excited for? You actually broke the news and told me the situation with the Douglas County quarterback. But just what is your thoughts early on just about 6A and these matchups?
Yeah, man, we might as well start with Douglas. Per the Ultimate Insider, one of the Ultimate Insiders in Georgia high school football, QB Marcus, he broke the news that DJ Bordeaux would not be playing this game, unfortunately, to a broke collarbone. I'm assuming it's going to be on the throwing side. I don't know that for sure. That's definitely a heavy loss. I'm not even sure what the backup is for Douglas, but it's definitely going to hurt them significantly, though they have been running the ball pretty well. But, they got those elite receivers on the outside who really haven't got as many touches as some may have liked, like the fans. But nonetheless, I think this is Grayson's game to lose. I think Grayson's going to win this handily. But that's why you lace them up. That's why you put the helmets on and play on Friday nights. But the most interesting one by far is definitely Buford versus Carrollton. Carrollton's got to go to Buford. This will be the last home game in Buford before are they tearing it down? They're going to keep it up, but I do know they are building a new stadium. So them boys trying to go out and in dramatic fashion. Go Jackets for sure. Shout out to
Good
you, Mike.
Mr. Mike.
It's gonna be a good one. I feel like Carrollton is gonna face probably the most complete defense. Now you can correct me if you think secondary is there. Defensive line is formidable. Really, the whole front seven is formidable. I think I saw something about Juju having a little knick-knack. I don't know. I think it was a hand injury.
He got a hand injury.
That could be big. I mean, I know he's a tough kid. He'll grit it out. But like I say, that's a formidable front four. Jaden Parlati, number 8, just committed to Colorado. Montrez Walker, Montrez Walker.
Bryce Perry Wright too.
Bryce Perry Wright. So you know, what I'm saying it's gonna be a complete game if Carrollton turns over the ball, gives Buford a couple extra possessions with the way they run the football. It can get very dicey. I'm still gonna lean more towards the side of Carrollton, but I'm glad this is on. I'm glad this is on TV, Peachtree Network or WP
GPB
TV, so we can really see it and I get to dissect it. But this is the most interesting game. I'm saying I think out of all of them, to be honest. I know Langston's got a good game coming up, but I'm taking Grayson. I'm taking Grayson and I'm taking Carrollton, brother. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think this is Grayson's game to lose. DC obviously is a very talented bunch that can run the ball with Demarcus Lindley. They have a great linebacking core. Michael Hasty leads them in tackles so far this year. Jordan Carter can rush it off the edge when you break down their team. But I think it is hard to replace DJ Bordeaux. But the player that's going to be starting for them is going to be James Johnson. So that's going to be the player for them. Probably play a little bit of everything. I got a couple questions from coaches about Johnson. Hey, can he really play safety, wide receiver, and quarterback? Yes, he can. He's that elite. He's that talented. That's why he's going to USC. James Johnson is that good. But it's just a different level of offense. And not that he can't handle it. He obviously can, but he's an all-around athlete. I just think that's a tough spot to put him in. And Grayson has speed. They got a great defensive lineman, 3 guys going to D1. We look at Josiah Victor, he's going to NC State. Joseph Mbachu, who's going to Florida. And Andre Fuller, who's a beast and leads them with 33 QB hurries and I think over 10-plus sacks going to Tech. So they are absolutely loaded. For Tech fans that's watching on the channel, y'all seen Andre Fuller's film. So this is going to be one to watch as well when it comes to that. And Grayson also has a great secondary. Jalen Bell, who is flying now to Indiana, is very good. Riley Drew is coming to his own, and he's known all around the country now with what his outstanding play as a sophomore. London Goggins is another one. They got players all over the field. So Grayson is very talented. Offensively, they can run the ball with Miller, Joel Bradford. Also got Alexander Sanchez, who popped off for 3 touchdowns last week. So, I mean, they're loaded with talent. And we didn't even mention Jonathan Stafford or Aiden Taylor. So they got guys all over the field. It's going to be a great matchup. I love that it's in the semifinals. Sucks that they don't have the quarterback, but I would give the edge to Grayson in that one. Carrollton Buford's interesting. That injury on Juju Lewis is on his non-throwing hand. So good thing is it shouldn't affect him too bad. Maybe in the center to quarterback exchange and things like that. They like to run a lot of things out of the shotgun as well, sometimes under center. But they'll probably lean on their rushing attack a lot in that one with Kamari Farmer and Messiah Satterwhite. Also got on the outside, they got Ryan Mosley, who just announced his top 10 teams. I believe George is on there, if I'm not mistaken, South Carolina, some others. So they're just going to try to air the ball out. They got A.J. McNeil, who's another slept-on receiver that can ball. But Buford, man, when they can run the ball with their guys and Ethan Irvin and Jordan Baker, platooning in and out, Tyreek Green and what he can do. And then they got guys on the outside with Hayden Bradley. And then they got Jordan Allen, who's coming to the flats, Tech fans, and that's electric. Had 2 touchdowns in his last game. It's going to be very intriguing, but I would give the edge to Grayson and the edge to Buford in those 2.
100%, brother. 100%. I also want to shout out Braxton McAllister, just committed to that jam-packed class is going to Georgia Southern along with Jeremiah Ticker, who everybody signed yesterday. Some signed yesterday, man. We know it's another session coming up in January, but we can move on to 6A, brother.
All right, let's go to 5A. So one of these games will be on TV. I got to get your thoughts. They say this is the game of the century, Bacon. They're calling it the Clash of the Titans, and it's going to be on Peachtree Sports Network. And that's this one right here, Milton Lee County. Who do you like in that one, Bacon?
I gotta go with Milton, man. It just the top 5 in the nation for a reason. I understand Lee County. They got the 2-headed monster in the backfield, quarterback who can put some balls on the money. but it's just tough to go against. It's tough to go against the name brands that live up to the expectation. You got Luke Nickel, Ethan Barbour, C.J. Wiley, who's committed to Georgia yesterday. I mean, not dude just signed to Georgia yesterday, and that's a nice secondary, nice defense as well. I always forget the name of the running back, but I do know he committed to West Georgia, my alma mater, yesterday too. So that was major. That's big.
TJ
Shout out to
Lester.
TJ Lester, man. Shout out to the Wolves for bolstering that recruiting staff as we transition into D1 football. I like what Coach is doing out there. But like I said, but it's hard to go against. It's hard to go against Milton.
Yeah, man. I mean, high level breakdown by you. It is hard to go against Milton, but I think this one is going to go down to the wire. You got two really elite teams when you look at it. Bacon, Milton is loaded, but let's not sleep on Lee County and what they can do. Their quarterback just got ranked up to a 4-star. But hear this stat, Bacon. He could become the first quarterback in GHSA history to have 30 passing touchdowns and 30 rushing touchdowns. That's how elite Weston Bryan has been this season. Had 7 touchdowns in one of their games recently in the playoffs. They could run it with Usman Kroma, who is second leading receiver on the team this year. Defensively, they got Lasai Jackson, who's a stud. You know what I'm saying? It hits hard. Can play all over the field. They unfortunately lost Greg Batson to an ACL injury, so he won't be in this one, their leading tackler. But they got guys all over the field too, and this is a national matchup. This is what this is. So one of the best that you're going to see, number 2 versus number 25, according to Max Preps. So it's going to be electric. Milton has the talent. I love Coach Reeves. I love Luke. Luke is, I think, one of the best quarterbacks in the country. And it got C.J. Wiley, Ethan Barbour. Like, this team is loaded and talented. So it's going to be the class of the Titans, man. I can't wait to see. Both are battle tested. Both are played in tough regions and tough contests. So it's going to be interesting to see. I will give my money on Milton, but I'm not sleeping on Lee County.
I get what you're saying, brother. I get what you're saying. So in line this, because you didn't really go into depth about Lee County's defense, to guard a tight end and wide receiver will both play inside numbers, play outside of the numbers. Then you got to deal with TJ Lester. And then, Luke Nickel, who can run the ball a little bit as well. So just kind of enlighten us on how that defense can kind of handle that explosive offense.
So far as the slot, you're gonna look at Lasai Jackson. As far as the slot and the tight end, probably covering them, and then they have a couple guys they like to bring down in the box, probably a safety here and there, and then they have a really good linebackers that can float to the ball and to the sideline. So this might be a game where Milton might have to air it out a little bit. They might be geared up to stop the run. We will see kind of what their strategy is, but they have really good linebackers, and obviously Lasai Jackson, who is kind of a multiple defender that can play different positions.
All right. Well, with that being said, we will roll on to Langston Hughes versus Coffee. Coffee's got that running back. I was talking to. It might have been Damien. I was like, man, this Langston is built for this, man. So that front seven is no joke. I think this is big Langston all the way. I think we're going to see. We want to see Langston and Langston and Milton in the dome. Unless they prove me otherwise. C5 done a great job. I think he's one of the most efficient quarterbacks, especially not turning the ball over. That's big. You got Gleason, like you said last week or 2 weeks ago. I think it was last week. Just signed at UGA. They got a lot of track athletes on that offense that's going to be hard to contain. I just think Lance is going to wear them down over the course of 4 quarters.
Yeah, man. This is interesting. I want to give credit to Langston Hughes, especially for holding that Thomas County Central offense to only 12 points. That wasn't easy to do. They pretty much handled that game. And I tell everybody this: go to a spring practice of theirs and look how physical they are. Like, that's a very physical team that plays high end level football. And they want to beat you in the trenches. They want to out physical you. So in this one, like, that's what I lean on. They got the best offensive line, I think, in the state. When you look at Tavares Dice and Dontrell Glover, both of those guys are studs, and they got guys in the interior that can block at a high level as well. And then you got speed. Like, this team has nothing but speed. C5, as you mentioned, they also got Maurice Gleaton. They got Carson Baker. They got Krishawn Sellers. They got Xavier Tiller, who we didn't even mention, who just recently committed to Texas A&M. Like, they got guys all over the field. And then defensive, Quavion Pitts. They got one of the better safeties that no one talks about in the state as well. So this team is loaded. But what's interesting is they're going to have to stop that run, right? That's what Coffee wants to do. Coffee's not a big passing team. They got Cole there, but they want to get the ball. Tyrese will get. Listen to this stat line, Bacon. He rushed for a GHSA record 605 yards in their win against Sequoia, 72-48 win. He rushed for the record for Coffee. So they're going to have to be able to slow that down. And Coffee actually blanked Houston County, who's one of the better offenses in the state we had this year with Antoine Hill Jr. and held them to a shutout. So it's going to be interesting. It's not going to be easy. It's a team that has a lot of pride. They're the defending state champion, and Hughes going to have to be ready. I still take Hughes to come out on top, but it will not be an easy matchup.
I agree with you, brother. Do you have a name for the linebacker? I'm trying to dig it up right now. He's number 9, transferred in from Cedar Grove last year.
Not off the top of my head.
That's fine. Man, I was trying to see if I can find it real quick on their Twitter page, but I do not see it right now. But a couple more scrolls. Throughout the show, I'm sure I'll find it. Now I'll definitely bring his name up. But like, I saw him when they played Douglas. Ever since he came over, man, like when a new player comes to the team, man, you don't expect them to just be a vocal leader. Like everybody listens to him, and he's had that type of impact. I think he's going to be one of those leaders that's going to say, guys. I mean, he's just gonna be one of those first guys to the ball when Coffee throws that running tech at them, and he's gonna probably be one of the unsung heroes on Friday night, man. So like I say, I said 17 points, but I didn't get it finished. I like Langston, 14 to 17 point win, man. It's gonna be a knockout drag out. As an old man told me, he was gonna be out there slapping paint. What'd you say?
14 to 17? Dang.
14. Yeah, I think so, man. I mean, we saw what they did to Thomas County. I think Thomas County they're a better team than Coffee.
Okay. All right. We're going to find out, man. We're going to find out. It's going to be good. I'm still rolling with Langston. I believe in Coach Boone and Coach Brown and what they're doing, man, and Coach LeVar Sims. They got a good staff, man, and I'll be excited to see them. But it's going to be interesting to see, man. But, all right, let's roll to 4A. Let's talk about one of the biggest games, man.
We talk about Blessed in North Coney.
You didn't let me we on 4A.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, look at you jumping the gun.
Well, we talk about the other side of 5A. No, we did. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's only 2 matchups, twin.
You're right. This yeah. You transitioned before I saw it.
All right, but since you hungry for this one, it's Norfolk Coney Blessed Trinity. I'm gonna let you get it started.
Well, Blessed Trinity's got one of the better pass rushes of 2027.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Jacobs, elite. They actually got a complete team. Norfolk Coney is a team you've been high on. We like the quarterback out there. But can he get in rhythm and get a high level pass rush? That is my only question. The floor is yours.
I think he can. And the good thing when it comes to Harrison Faulkner is he's not just
he can run a little bit. He can actually run a lot, yeah.
He can run. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not worried. And they played some top-end competition. Like, they beat a really good Cartersville team last week. Like, granted, it was a 2-point win, but that team is loaded. They beat Eastside. Eastside got all the way to the quarterfinals before they ran into Creekside. Like, Creekside is the real deal, too. We'll talk about that matchup as well. But I think Norfolk Oconee is battle tested. I think they got Kamari Brooks, who plays both sides of the ball for them, tight end, and he plays edge rusher for them. And I like how their offense is set up with Coach Art. Like, they get the ball out quick. They can also throw down the field. Landon Roldan is unstoppable when he gets into the open space. The Georgia signee now. They got dudes, man, and I think they can match up with Blessed Trinity. Now, as you said, they're gonna have to find a way to block him. But the best way to neutralize an elite pass rush is running the ball, right, and getting it out quick. I feel like Norfolk Coney can do that. My question for them is defensively, can they slow down Amonte Pitts? Amonte Pitts is probably one of the better backs no one's talking about, and he's starting to kind of come into his own. I think he will be ranked here in 247 or on 3 here pretty soon with the type of season that he's had. And this is a very resilient team. Like, they beat Jonesboro 22-7. Noah Godhard had hit 5 field goals in that one. And what's scary about BT is they can beat you in a multitude of ways. They lost Zion McKenzie for the year. They lost Bryce Lewis, all with injuries, and they still are finding ways to win. So that part is a little scary for me. But they got dudes all over the field. And Bruce Goodman as a quarterback, I think, is starting to come into his own. And he's continuing to get better and better from when I seen him as a sophomore. And I think he's the real deal as well. So I think we got a potential for cinema down there, potentially with Norfolk Coney. But I'm going to go with the Titans to come out on top. I think it will be a very close game.
Can we get a score?
27-24, game-winning touchdown thrown by Harrison Faulkner.
All right. So moving on to the left side of the bracket, as you brought up earlier, Creekside versus the triple option of Marist.
It's gonna be a game, boy.
It's gonna be a game.
It's gonna be a game.
Can Creekside's defense main discipline, stay in their gaps, and make the tackle in the open field? Because we know that running back is going to get open. He's going to find lanes. Can they do it, brother?
Yeah, man. I mean, I think if it's a team that can pull this off, it is Creekside. It will not be easy to beat Marist, especially on the road. But Coach Dixon does a great job. The defensive coordinator is also phenomenal. And it's gonna be a physical battle at the line of scrimmage. And I think it's the same thing it's a carbon copy when you look at Hughes and them. They want to dominate you on the line of scrimmage, right? That is something that they want to do. So when I look at Creekside and Marist, I look at Creekside being able to be physical and being able to be gap disciplined, because it's not just about stopping the run. You got to be gap disciplined because they're running so many different meshes. You got to keep your eyes on where the ball is and making sure you stay disciplined in your gap. And then offensively, they're going to have to take advantage of their opportunities, right? Offensively, they got Caden Bessie, Region 4A Offensive Player of the Year. He's been great so far this season. And, they're going to have to lean on him to kind of make those throws to Dylan Vickerson and running the ball and things like that. But this is a very good team, man. I think this is one of the better matchups.
All right. I'm going to roll with Creekside. I like the versatility. There he is. What's going on, brother?
What's going on, Day?
What's happening?
Not much,
man. Cold outside.
Hey,
for sure.
Y'all boys warmed it up.
Yeah,
ladies and gentlemen, if y'all going to the games tomorrow,
man, y'all keep going. Y'all keep going. I see y'all. You previewing some of the brackets, so man, y'all keep going, man.
Go on in, brother. Go. We talked about Creekside and man. We talked about Creekside yesterday. So kind of just give us your thoughts. Can Creekside withstand the elite triple option of Marist?
Yeah, Creekside, that's a very talented team, a lot of athletes on that team. So it's really going to be a matter of being disciplined defensively for Creekside, because Coach Allen, Chadwick, man, he's old school Marist. They're going to try to pound you. They're very old school, and so it's good, again, I think I kind of caught Najee saying something about, gap assignments and things of that nature. It's definitely going to come down to, again, like I said, being disciplined defensively, understanding your assignments, your gap assignments, because you have to know that Marist is coming in looking to try to beat you on the ground. And this weather, honestly, if what it feels like tonight is how it's going to feel tomorrow night, that kind of plays in favor of Marist trying to pound you on the ground. So
that's true.
That's a good point.
Have you made it out to see young Benson?
Say that again.
Have you made a trip out to Creekside to the swamp rather to see young?
No, I haven't seen the swamp this year. I watched the swamp. This is probably the first year I haven't been to a swamp game.
Right.
Probably in about 5-6 years.
Wow.
This is probably the first time I hadn't been to a game. Last one was last year when they knocked out Jefferson. Some considered that an upset last year because Jefferson was so highly favored to win that classification. But having, again, seen Creekside year after year after year, I knew talent-wise was there. And I just remember that was a phenomenal game as well, because Creekside actually found themselves down, I want to say, by 20 or something like that at the half. It may not have been as much as 20, but they were down by a couple of scores, and then they came roaring back in the second half. So phenomenal game. But Coach Dixon and that squad and his coaching staff, man, they have done a phenomenal job. Of course, Coach Dixon, a Creekside alum, so it really means a lot for him to have Seminoles where they're at right now these last 2 seasons. And again, as long as they play, stay disciplined defensively, I think they got a chance to knock off Marist.
100%. I'm gonna ask you one more question, brother, before we transition into 3A. Najee alluded to this point just a couple minutes ago about seeing some similarities in Coach Boone and Coach you just said his name. Coach Dixon. Yes, I'm sorry, Coach. If you see this, I apologize. What similarities do you see? Obviously, they're very intense. They get a lot. They get the most. They get everything out of their players. But what similarities do you see between the two?
just the passion that they have for their programs. And then they're all South Fulton products, man. So there's a connection between Coach Dixon, Coach Boone, Coach Johnny White at
Mhm.
Douglas County, a couple of athletic directors, including the Creekside athletic director and the former Westlake director. There was a picture one time where they were all together because, again, they're all South Fulton alum. And, it's just a passion that they all have, not just it's bigger than winning. It's about, building those programs into letting people know, like, we've got the talent over here, and you don't have to go transfer out of district to be on a winning program, because that's kind of the knock on a lot of school area systems and areas a lot of times, where people look at them as, oh, this ain't a winning program, and so kids will transfer out of that area when it's
Mhm.
time for them to play high school football. And they've done a phenomenal job, Coach Dixon and Coach Boone, of keeping those South Fulton kids right there in South Fulton and winning football games. So, I think that's probably, just that hunger they have to make those programs in that side of town and that community proud to be supportive of those programs. I think that's one of the biggest similarities. And then when it comes to coaching, I'd say just, their expectations of what they want out of their players. I think they're very uh, old school in the sense of, you're gonna have to work. I mean, every coach has that mindset, but I think
Right.
for them, it's just, they have a very like, like, yo, we got to get it out the mud over here. We don't have the resources. You know what I'm saying? We don't have, so we gotta, not saying they don't have any resources, but if we're honest, we all cover enough high schools around the
Right.
state to know who's got more than who, and they don't necessarily have all the resources that some of their counterparts have, but they grind their kids. They really instill in them, like, listen, it don't matter what we have or don't have. You know what I'm saying? It's all about the work we put in on this field. Monday through Saturday, Sunday through Saturday, whatever the case may be, that will help us reach and accomplish where we got to go, what we're trying to accomplish.
100%.
Absolutely.
All right,
Absolutely.
man. Yes, sir. Let's transition to 3A, man. Great intel right there from obviously Data, as he's covered all over the state, man, on 929 The Game and on V103 on Saturday mornings, man. Great intel there. You got a comment, Bacon. I did want to share this real quick. Said, what's going on, people? TCC checking in. I think he means Thomas County Central Jackets. So he is tuned in. Appreciate you, brother, for tuning into the show and the program. All right, man. Let's go to 3A, Bacon. I'm going to start with you. So our heavy pick, Peach and also Sandy Creek, are both out. So
Yeah.
let's start with Calhoun Stevenson. What do you think about that matchup?
Man. Calhoun's been getting it done for a while now, man. That's a historic program up there in North Georgia. Stevenson, another South Side team again. Shout out to the South Side for representing strong, man. But I'm gonna lead to the side of Stevenson. I know Calhoun's got a very formidable defense, man. Obviously, only 3 losses on this season. Losing to Cartersville is probably them and Cambridge is their roughest loss. Obviously, they playing those teams. Beating Peach 38-28 and Douglas 38-14 is very convincing. But I you know what I'm saying? I like rolling with the South Side, man. Just can't. I mean, they got elite pass rushers. They can run the ball very well. But I'm gonna extend the floor to you, Mr. Wilkins, man. Give us that all around game. Home game is free. Mike, you muted, brother.
Thank you. Yeah, Calhoun has a really good team, man. They got a true freshman quarterback. I think that's going to wake a lot of people up in Trace Hawkins. He's been consistent this year. I think I had one game I talked about him. He had like 4 or 5 touchdown passes. I like his progression this year. They can run the football. And the thing is, they haven't leaned on their star weapon a lot this year. I think he's battled injury, and that's Amari Winston, who I believe is signed now to Texas. I'll have to verify that to make sure. I haven't heard a lot about him in the recruiting trail. But they're doing a good job, and hard to believe last year was the first time they didn't make the playoffs in over 23 seasons since 1999. But they're right back in the fold and making plays and doing what they're supposed to do. But I don't know if they face a defensive line like that. Coach Rock has them boys ready at Stevenson, man, with obviously Sergio Mason, who I think is going to get more eyes and more looks as far as offense goes. KJ Green, who's one of the best defensive linemen in the country in the 2027 class, already highly rated. And then they got a running back who came over from Cedar Grove and Anthony Booker, who just rushed for 230 yards. So they got a stud in him as well. So this team is well-rounded, well coached. I think it's going to be a barn burner between two really good teams.
Mr. Lewis.
Those are actually two teams that I got to see this year, and ironically, I saw both of them on the losing end of the games that they were in. It was Calhoun falling to Cambridge, and then Stevenson falling to Decatur. But to Najee's point about Calhoun, I could tell at that time that youth was playing a role, and it was just a matter of them kind of, just bringing it all together. And at the end of the day, all these coaches, you play these non-region schedules, and all you want is to, once you get into region play, you want to be able to start, getting some traction. And that's what you saw what happened with both Stevenson and Calhoun. And shouts out to Stevenson, man, because here they found themselves, winning their region, in a dogfight with the Doug Astros, and to get that seed. And I mean, just Coach Jelks really has the Jaguars. Again, both both coaches. They've just got both teams clicking on all cylinders, and again at the right time. I think some people may have been surprised by Stevenson's week last week. Who they defeated? I think the bracket's a little small for me.
Southeast Bullet.
Yeah, Southeast Bullock. I think Stevenson's probably come in by some considered an underdog, but again, having seen them play, I knew the talent was there. So that's a matchup, man. I think it's going to be a dogfight. I know that you're going up. They got to go to a Calhoun. That's not hostile in a bad way, but that Yellow Jacket country. They're going to be out. And they're going to be out in full force. And actually, Coach Jelks was on after their win last week, and he was telling Sam Crenshaw and them that, when he played for Stevenson, because he's a Stevenson alum, and he was telling them when he played, he remembered they used to have to always go up there. When they were playing a non-region schedule, Calhoun was always their last team that they would always play. And so he, this is a special moment for him because he's got them in the semifinals for just the second time in program history, and it's against a team that he's familiar with, even as a player from his playing days.
That was great insight. I also want to shout out the Whitewater Wildcats, who lost a very close game to Stevenson, 44-37. Shout out to Coach T. Glaze. Shout out to Coach Frazier, man. That's definitely a team and a group of young men who definitely slept on and need more eyes, especially on their secondary. Here's some guys on the move, possibly, but definitely want to shout out to Whitewater Wildcats for everything they've done this season. But we
they had a good season. Yeah, they had a good season.
Had a good season. They're very talented. They got some kids that are under recruited and underserved right now. So many coaches are tapping in. Definitely tap in with those young men. But moving on to the left side of the bracket, we got a classic matchup: Jefferson versus the LaGrange Grangers. I know Jefferson is very tough, very formidable. I'm not too sure about their passing. Actually, they got a formidable quarterback out there. Let me take that back. But I am knowledgeable about the Grangers, man. They're bringing a junior quarterback, Dylan. You know what I'm saying? When I saw him, obviously we questioned the passing attack. They got a good defense, Coach is always going to make sure those guys are very disciplined. So going up to the top of the bracket is on the road this year, correct?
No,
if they're the same, if they're seated the same.
Okay.
Yeah, so, which I think
Jefferson's at home. I can tell
Jefferson's
that.
at home.
Jefferson's got the air.
Okay. I mean, they'll be ready, man. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna bring their heart. Like I said, they're a very disciplined team. They had to go on the road to Sandy Creek, also a hostile environment. So you know what I'm saying, they'll be just as prepared as Jefferson is. Jefferson had the whole field advantage, possibly having some more momentum, just having some of their home cooking. but LaGrange will be ready. I think this will be a close, very close game. This is another game that should be on TV, but I do know we have limited TV resources in the state. But I would tend to give the edge. I'm gonna give a slight edge to Jefferson just because I think they're a little more diverse on the offensive side of the ball. Not yet, brother. We have not gotten to that yet. We're in 3. We're going north, but we will get to that soon, brother. Appreciate you tapping in and commenting.
Yeah, stay tuned. Go ahead, Day. I want to get your thoughts on that game, Jefferson LaGrange.
LaGrange is I actually saw that Sandy Creek game earlier. So the early in the season, they actually lost to Sandy Creek early in the season. I want to say that might have been game 2 or 3 of the season. And I know at the time, I want to say the running back suffered a significant injury. I never followed up, so I'm assuming maybe he's back. But when they got that win last week or 2 weeks ago, when they got the the revenge win, I guess you would call it, against Sandy Creek, that kind of told me that it finally started coming together. Because against Sandy Creek in that game that they lost, they were looking good early on, but Sandy Creek, man, they just it was a game where they just kind of got out ahead of LaGrange. LaGrange really just couldn't find their way back, and again they lost their top offensive weapon in the game early, like in the first quarter. So that kind of put them behind the 8 ball, and they just never were able to overcome. So Jefferson, look, man, they consistently, I know they lost. They had a lot of talent last year that they lost, but I think I want to say, and Najeh, you could probably correct me, I think they had a little bit of a rough start early on. I think they lost a couple of games early on. So a lot of people probably were assuming that, okay, well, maybe Jefferson isn't, the Jefferson that we're used to. But, again, got in the region play, man, and those boys got to rolling. So, I kind of like Jefferson in this one. Again, while I know I had eyes on LaGrange, I just, I think what they've got going up there with the Dragons, man, is kind of special. So, I mean, just look for, I think that's going to kind of be like a classic game, 2 games that if LaGrange can establish, and again, if that running back is back and they can establish themselves on the ground, Jefferson may have some problems on their hands.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, 2 teams that obviously, Jefferson went 0-1 to start out the gate. LaGrange was 1-2, and when we saw them against Douglas, they didn't look too good. I'm not gonna lie to you, like they were struggling, and Douglas just looked more athletic, looked more physical. But credit to Coach Napier for being able to just have that team ready to go. And I know Bacon's been down there a lot to see them play and see them practice and things like that. And one thing I can tell you, they're physical. We look at Malachi Renderfan, and he's having a really good year. He's been having some big games in the playoffs. He's been tough to stop. The good thing with Jefferson is you've seen this story before. You've seen that with Oconee County. You've seen it with obviously, I'm losing the team, Cherokee Bluff, with them and what they can do as well. So they've seen this story before, so they know how to defend it. And my question for LaGrange is, can they stop gapping Markey? Like Markey can throw it and he can run it. He's the leading rusher this year, and teams have not had an answer for him all season long. So it's not going to be easy to slow that down. And Rhett Hip Hill is another outstanding player for them that plays well. And Sammy Brown's brother, Max Brown, is an outstanding linebacker for them as well, man. So it's going to be an interesting chess match to see which team can stop the other's rushing attack. But I would lean towards Jefferson in this one.
I agree, brother. We can transition into 2A.
Here we go.
All right, transitioning into 2A. We got to start with the Columbus young men. Appling County versus Carver Columbus. We all know Carver has been a talented bunch this year, entering in with 1 loss, only losing to Harris County by 15-6. But like I said, ever since then they've been on the roll, beating Thorough, beating Booker T. Washington, and beating Pierce County last week by a score of 44-7. And the only thing about this team is prior to earlier in the season, they really haven't faced any adversity. It's been a lot of blowouts. Appling is no slouch. Just beating Stevenson County last week 23-9, and upsetting a very talented team before that, who is Carver Atlanta, as we all know, is a very athletic team. We know Carver's a very athletic team, so it's gonna be a clash of 2 formidable teams here. So guys, I'll start with you, Mr. Lewis. Give me your intel on who you like this Friday.
To your point, man, that's a good one. But wins over teams like Crystal County, Tatnall, that nice little streak they had there. And then unfortunately they lose to Fitzgerald, who obviously anybody knows Fitzgerald is always going to put up a great product on the field. So them losing that game fairly close at that. Shouldn't be much of a surprise. And then they come right back into the playoffs, and like you just touched on, knocking off, Crisp again, and then Carver, Atlanta, and Stevens County. So, man, this is a game that, and I didn't get a chance to see either of these two teams play this year. But this is a game where, look, Carver Columbus is coming in with all the momentum. I think they wrapped up the regular season. I want to say with 7 or 8 straight wins ahead of the playoffs. So momentum's favoring them right now. I do like again that if we were talking strength of schedule from high school, I do like the teams actually played in that stretch where they had their win streak before losing to Fitzgerald. So from a talent perspective, again, I didn't put eyes on either of these teams this year, but just knowing what the type of products they both put on the field, I might have to lean towards Appleton County in this one.
All right, Nash.
Yeah, for me, I'm gonna go with Carver Columbus. I think obviously to Day-Day's point, he brings up a good one. Apple County is battle tested. They have played a lot of good teams, but I mean, when you can go and beat the defending state champions 44-7 in a really great offensive attack with Caden Magatha, I mean, this Carver Columbus team is loaded. I got a chance to see them back when it was at Georgia Tech 7-on-7. I was very impressed with the quarterback. They got weapons all over the field. They can run it and thump you as well. Carver Columbus is a team that's been great all year long, man. And their head coach got them playing at a high-end level. They got Tristan Givens on the edge, who's a 4-star, I think 2026 class. He's electric. But they're going to have to be able to slow down that run, man. Appleton County has Tavion Wallace, who's an outstanding linebacker committed to Arkansas, or signed with Arkansas, I should say. And they can run the ball with Johnson as well. Like, Appleton County is loaded. So they're going to have to get the gear up to slow down the run and then be able to take their shots when they can. But I go with Carver Columbus.
All right, shout out to the Carver Columbus boys, man. Switching to the left side of the bracket once again. Rockmark versus Burke County. Rockmark happens to be, I believe, is the hometown of Nick Chubb. I know he went to Cedartown.
Cedartown.
You sure?
Positive.
All right, we'll roll with it. But I think I've heard from a local. He's from the Mark, but we're gonna roll with you. We're gonna roll with you, brother. Start with Burke County, man. They beat a formidable team in Cook County down in South Georgia. They got a running back, Amari Williams, who could tote that rock. But as well as Rock Martin, Nate Davis, averaging 72 yards per tote. So it's gonna be a battle of who can be the most physical up front. That I don't know. So we're gonna defer to the experts, Mr. Lewis and Najee Wilkins. I'm gonna start with you again, Mr. Day. Who you got?
You hit the nail on the head, man. When it comes down to like you said, two really tough teams. Obviously looking at a Burke County, I would have just one loss on the season, right? If I'm not mistaken. So 12-1 overall, only loss coming to a Benedictine team who, obviously came into the season as a top ranked team in the state. So, notable wins, for them. I mean, having to beat Laney twice in the season, Thompson twice in the season, once in the regular season and then again in the playoffs. That Northside Warner Robins win, like those still rolling, man. So, meanwhile, Rockmart, rough start, not rough. If you want to say 2 straight losses is rough, but then like they had to look back. And again, same for them, man. Just some really notable wins on their schedule. North Murray to wrap up the regular season, and they really defensively, they really kind of outside of the 2 losses, they've really kind of held majority. I'd say a good portion, about 50% of their opponents in check. And they've obviously shown they can just put points on the board as well. If you look at that Murray County game, so again, fellas, these two teams I didn't get to lay eyes on. Obviously, for me, the key is going to be how teams can respond to this weather that we're having. It is cold
Yes.
outside. And I think a lot of it's going to have to be, I think a lot of teams are going to try to do their best to establish themselves on the ground first. You talked about the young man that can run for Burke County, so then get him going, man. Then this could be a game that favors them.
Yeah, for me, man, both of these teams is battle tested. When you look at their schedule and who they've played, like you look at Rockmart, Cedartown, Cartersville, Ringgold, North Cobb Christian, who knocked off Savannah Christian, right? Playing North Murray. You look at the other side of the spectrum with Burke County, you know what I'm saying, playing also a tough schedule, Benedictine, Warren County, Thompson twice. Like, they've played some tough teams too. So I think both are battle tested. But to your point, Day, I think it is going to come to the weather and who can just protect the football. Both have great rushing attacks. Vanderford's having a pretty good year so far for Rockmart. He can throw the ball, 18 touchdowns, and just 4 interceptions. And then Amir Williams on the other side of things. Can you slow him down in the running game and not allow him to get off on you? Running back is having a phenomenal year, 33 total touchdowns this season. So another good matchup with two battle-tested teams.
All right. Well, so you said you're taking Rockmart.
I'm going to go with Burke County.
Burke County. All right. On to one that division, man. We got the repeat championship matchup last year, but obviously on opposite side of the brackets, probably due to meet up again. Manchester and Ballard. No, you on. I'm sorry. I'm ahead. Yeah. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Toombs County, home of Gonza Hayward, flipped yesterday from Tennessee to Florida. And collab with a comedian yesterday. If you didn't see that video, definitely on his page. Check that out. It was definitely hilarious. And Northeast versus Fitzgerald, Toombs County versus Dublin. Dublin being a South Georgia team, man. The Fighting Irish. I know a little bit about Toombs County. I know Dublin is definitely a historic program. Who I believe was they there last year or 2 years ago in the state championship. I think it was 2 years ago. 2 years ago. So I'm going to start with you, Naj. Starting on the right side of the bracket, Toombs County or Dublin?
Yeah, man, this is a tough one. What I like about Toombs County is their battle tested. They do have one loss. I thought they got one of the lower seeds that they shouldn't have gotten, in my humble opinion. I know they had lost to Savannah Christian, and that won them the state championship or the region title, I should say. But they lost by 7 points, and then went up and beat a really good Rome team when they were heavily underdogs. So Toombs County has T.J. Stanley, Davin Wilson, who can run the ball, all region players this year, and Lagonza Hayward, who's kind of a do-it-all virtuoso. Offensively, 665 yards, receiving 5 touchdowns, and then defensively, just a ball hawk, right? Just knows where the ball is always going to be, knows his assignment, knows what he's going to do. Dublin is also dangerous. So, like, another team that's battle tested, Willie Bates or Bats, I should say, is having a great year. 1,295 yards rushing and 16 touchdowns. And then Bostic, their sophomore running back, is having a good year too. He's near 1,000 yards. And then his older brother, Xavier Botts, who's another running back, he has 1,200 yards rushing. So this team just likes to run the ball. They like to be physical with you, and they go run that rock. They rarely pass the ball, and Toombs County's going to have to be ready for that rushing attack. But I'm going to go with Toombs.
All right.
Yeah, man. These are two teams. Both of these teams put points up. I think they might have both been held under 20 maybe once this year. I think for Toombs County, that might have came in that. I think the loss to Savannah Christian. I think that was like a tight game. And then Dublin. I think they got held. They got held like under 20 once well. But I mean, this is what you want. Number one, well, depending on who you ask. But number one versus number two when it comes to rankings for the classification. Again, I think Dublin, man, they're powerful. Like I said, I mean, they put up points. I think this is just going to come down to who can keep the other one out of the end zone. Basically, the way these two teams score, but the momentum right now favors heavily, obviously, Dublin, with unbeaten in that, unbeaten streak on the season. And they'll look to try to, keep it that way. So I'll roll with Dublin on this one. But again, a 1-2 matchup. I don't think the points that they're accustomed to scoring that they, did during the regular season, I don't think that's what we're going to see in this one. I think this one's going to be a gutted out, just a straight up heavyweight match in the trenches on this one, but I'll lean towards Dublin on this one.
All right, splitting hairs. I love to see it. You know what I'm saying? We don't want to give the fans these jokes up here agreeing. So I like to see a little, you know what I'm saying, a little splitting hairs, man, a little parting ways, you know what I'm saying, for lack of better words. Left side of the bracket once again, Fitzgerald, Northeast County. I'm gonna start at the bottom, Mr. Lewis. You know what I'm saying? Who you got?
Man, I'm going to go with Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald only just because they always in the mix. Plain and simple.
Nah, Day-Day's right, man. I mean, they're good every year, man.
Yeah. I mean, it's just hard to go against them, man. In all honesty, like not trying to, seriously, not trying to be funny. It's just very hard to go against them, and they are always a team that we're talking about year after year when it comes down to these state title runs and or just being in the games, I should say. And so it's just really tough to kind of go against them. I know, a couple of losses there that they had. Tight one with Jeff Davis. Tight one to open up the season against Irvin County. I think didn't they play each other in a state title game a couple of years ago? Fitzgerald and Irvin County, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
I could be wrong, but again, just I know it wasn't a perfect season for them overall, but still they closed out strong with that win over Allen County before they got into the playoffs. And again, it's just hard. It really is hard to go against Fitz, man. Once you see that they've gotten this far, not to take anything away from Northeast. Really like what they've been able to do over the course of the regular season and here early on throughout the playoffs. But I'll go with Fitz, man. Like I said, it's just hard to root against them because they are always right there.
Sound like you were in agreement, Naj.
No, I'm going to go upset. I mean, he's right, though. I mean, Fitzgerald is battle tested. You look at Irwin County, they're always in the mix. Chris County, Brooks County, Worth County. They played dogs this year. Applin County, Rabin County. This team's battle tested, man. So I agree with Day-Day there. And they got a phenomenal group, but I'm going to go upset. I like a good one here. Nicholas Woodford's the name to know, right? Rushing the football. I think he's close to closing in or might have more than 2,000 yards rushing. And he's been electric. Nobody's had an answer so far. Maybe Fitzgerald will. But I think he's going to be able to run the rock and kind of physically impose his will. And then defensively, they have the leading interception guy and Courtney Williams, who's having a phenomenal year. 10 interceptions this year. Absolute ball hawk at the corner position. So I'm going upset, and I'm going with Northeast Macon.
Too bad to bad. I like the way this is going, man. We might make it a third, ladies and gentlemen. Keep your popcorn out because we're going to the trenches. We're going to the trenches. Moving on. Did you already change it up on me, brother? You've been good at that today.
It's already there, buddy.
All right. So as I was alluded to before, when I got ahead of myself, this bracket will include, this semi matchup will include two teams who were in the championship last year. That'll be Manchester and Bowden County. It seems like they're on a track to meet up again, but they got to take care of business first. Bowden battling against Irwin County. We know about Caden Porthrow at Bowden, but do they have enough to beat Irwin County? I'm going to start at the top. That'd be you, brother, in the gray.
Oh, okay. I know you see no name. Yeah, man. Irwin County is a good football team. Tech fans, if y'all watched the stream yesterday, I was talking about Shane Marshall. For those that are watching, 1,800 yards rushing, 18 touchdowns. They like to run that rock, man. And it's another team that's been battle tested. Beat Fitzgerald earlier this year. Another really good team we just talked about. Was able to beat Cook, another really good team. Clinch County, Brooks County, Treon. Like, they've beaten some notable opponents this year, man. And they really lean on Marshall to kind of lead them. Passing attack, Snyder's having a pretty good year, 1,330 yards passing and 16 tubs. And then, they kind of spread it out between the wealth with their offense. But the main show is Shane Marshall, as y'all seen yesterday. And then when you look at Bowden, Cade, and Prothro, they've been through the mud as well. But the key is the psyche. If they can get past Irwin County, who's going to win that Manchester matchup with two teams that's been split in the matchup? That Bowden has won the last couple. Manchester beat them again in the regular season for the second consecutive time. So that's going to be interesting to see. But Bowden has a very loaded team this year. Dylan McGrin defensively, leading tackler for them so far this year. He's been electric. And Maxell, his name is difficult to say. Maxell III has 34 touchdowns and 2,348 yards passing. So this is a team that can air it out. His main receiver obviously is Prothro, but they also got Wilson, who has nearly 500 yards. Jonah Wilson, nearly 500 yards receiving. But I'm going to go with Bowden in that one.
All right. Mr. Lewis, what type of intel can you provide us with?
I'll be honest with you, not a lot as far as, having seen these teams play, but Irwin County is a team that, again, that's another team kind of like Fitzgerald that, and they actually what it is they always play each other early in I think for like the last 4 or 5 years, they play each other like at the top of the season. And Irwin County, man, again, just like kind of Fitz, man, always in the conversation when you start talking about the semifinals and finals for the state championship run.
Yeah.
Phenomenal season, just the one loss, tight one against Clinch, but powerful offense, puts up points just a couple times this year, under 20 points. Other than that, man, they've scored, north of, almost north of 30 in every game that they've played. So, again, battle tested, as we've been talking about most of these teams. Bowden as you look at Bowden, again, just a couple losses, but like I said, that Manchester loss obviously is one that, they definitely probably wish they could get that one back out of the two losses that they do have. I mean, both losses. Fellowship Christian was a tight one to start the season, 1-point loss, and then you turn around a few games later after about a 5-game win streak, you drop to Manchester by 8. And obviously that was a region game. So, they themselves too very battle tested. And another team that can put up some points. So, you know what? If I'm gonna probably lean towards Irwin County because again they're just a team that it just seems like we're never not talking about them getting past the semifinals often. So I'll lean towards Irwin County.
All right. Moving on the right side of the bracket, we got Brooks County versus Manchester. Brooks County comes in, I believe, at 9-4, 10-4. But don't let their record fool you. They played some tough opponents, losing narrowly to Irwin County earlier this season. But Manchester is going to be a team that you're going to come in and try to outphysically you, man. We all know about Justice Terry, who's he's got 3 teams he's looking at right now, but that's not what we're talking about today. The Favors brothers, Devon playing QB and his younger brother playing running back. What I'm saying? They're going to be the dynamic tandem to watch on the opposite side of the ball. And of course, Justice Terry is a game away or a couple plays away from wrecking the ball game. I think I'm gonna roll with the Manchester Blue Devils, close proximity. So I'm always gonna roll with the team that's closer to me, who I've seen. But Brooks County should not be slept on. I'm gonna start with you again, Mr. Lewis. Who you got?
I'm with you actually. I like Manchester in this one, and Manchester, man. Just first of all, shout out to them. Obviously, last year the horrific situation they had.
Yeah.
With one of the players, and then just for them to kind of turn right back around, and I know they opened up with that loss to Harris County, but for them to just still a phenomenal season on them. And I know to your point, you can't sleep on the Brooks County record just because of the 4 losses, but at the same time, for me, man, just what they've been able to do. Manchester's a team that's they've been on the uptick, really, if you think, if you follow, they've been really kind of ticking up like the last 4 years. So I think this is the year they kind of actually get over the hump. So I'm going to go with Manchester.
Before you go, Najeh, if anybody was watching, if you watched the GPB broadcast, I believe it was either last week, a couple weeks before, this coaching staff is elite, man. They finished up one game, and as every coaching staff, I'm assuming, they stay there and they watch their grinding film for the next upcoming week. So, you got a coaching staff who does that and pours it to these kids. And they made their own bracket, homemade art class. So, to give the kids more of a in-depth, realistic feel. They got their own bracket. I think that's big, and I had to point that out. But we'll turn it over to Florida, Mr. Wilkins.
For sure. A couple comments here. We appreciate everybody tuning in. Somebody has Bowden winning 35-21. He also talked about Pro 3 being a cheat code. We will find out and react, obviously, next week. Appreciate that comment. Also got one from Camilla Toe Harris. She said, "Go Dogs." I'm sure she's a Georgia fan, so I wanted to point that out as well. And then he said, Manchester's starting quarterback was also killed after the season last year. I like Bowden Manchester rematch. I feel him on that. Fortunate news, as you pointed out there. Hopefully, get none of that this year, and everybody is good to go and is safe and sound. But yeah, I'm going to agree with y'all. I'm going to go Manchester too. You talked about the Favors brothers and how elite they are. Bacon, I agree with you. They can also run it with Quay Cooper, who's having a pretty good season. And Brooks County is battle tested, but they do got a kid that's really good, nearing 2,000 yards rushing. That's Chris Cole with over 20-plus touchdowns this year. He's going to be one to watch in that one. But I think Manchester's going to be ready to go. Justice Terry's been battling injury throughout the year and missed a lot of time, but he should be back and ready to go, announcing his decision tomorrow. And like you said, he's a game wrecker, so they should be able to come out on top of that one. But Brooks County team that is battle tested and has faced some tough teams, but I'm going to go with Manchester.
100%, man. Ladies and gentlemen, that will round out the GHSA semifinals preview. Hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. But we're going to move on. We got one more? 3A, excuse me.
Got private.
Yeah, private. Can't forget about the private school because Teddy Jarrett is definitely at the top of the recruiting board. Say it again?
His mama going to kill you.
Don't do me like that, Miss Jarrett. It's all love, man. It's getting late. Gerard.
Yes, Mama said get it right.
Teddy Gerard, you know what I'm saying? Even the intermediate age dog can learn new tricks. I'm only 27, you know what I'm saying? Some people got their own perception about my age. I feel as young as I did when I was 18. But as wise as I will be when I'm 50. You see how I put that together. But North Cobb Christian versus Prince Avenue Christian. Now this group of teams more than anybody, so I gotta start with you.
Yeah, man. I mean, you're getting two elite matchups, man. Shout out to Teddy Gerard and that North Cobb Christian group. I know that program very well, building relationships with them, just being able to go on the road. And I put the pads he had on my Twitter, just improvising, shaking Elijah Griffin and throwing off the run with the dot in the back of the end zone, man. But beating that team does a lot for their moxie. Last year won their first ever region championship in program history. Coach Matt Jones got them going in the right direction. Defensively, they're good as well. Spears Martin, Turner Davis, also who had the game-sealing PBU. He's phenomenal. He recently committed to Charleston Southern. They got guys all over the field. JD Aufderheid's another one that can play at a high level. Ray Dixon, the Army commit, had 2 sacks in that win as well against Savannah Christian. BDG Guerrero is another one. But Prince Ave, that offense is special, man. That kid, Andrew Beard, is the real deal. And he came over from Lincoln County last year, and he was special. And this team ran the ball more than they passed it as it was figuring out the QB situation. They split time with Ben Muser, who I think is going to get better and better and come into his own, and also along with Jake Bobo. But they got receivers on the outside, Hudson Hill, CJ Dockery, really good defensive front with Christian Garrett, really good linebacker as well. I mean, both teams are loaded, man. So it's going to just come down to which team don't make the mistakes, which team can get the stops and force pressure on the quarterback. But I'm going to go in this one with North Cobb Christian.
All right. Mr. Lewis, I see you nodding your head down there.
Yeah, no, I was a little shocked that he went that way. I mean, and only because look, we know who Prince Ave has been, right? Constantly. Again, we've been talking about these teams that kind of constantly find themselves right there in the semifinals or finals each and every year. And Prince Ave, obviously, one of those teams. But hats off to North Cobb Christian. I didn't get a chance to see them this year. I want to say I saw them last year. In the playoffs, I think it was possibly a second round win over Columbia. But shouts out to them, man. First of all, a lot of people consider that win over Savannah Christian is probably one of the biggest wins of the quarterfinals because obviously Savannah Christian was considered top team in that classification. So first off, hats off for them going on the road and getting that win. Like you said, that team is loaded, man. They got a lot of talent over there at North Cobb Christian. But Prince Ave, man, again, they are constantly they just reload year after year, right? And Coach Vandergriff, man, he hasn't skipped a beat as far as I'm concerned. I know they had a rough start early on. I think they lost three of the first four or something like that. But again, man, they got into region play and they handled their business. And then first couple of rounds in the playoffs, 60 something points they put up, something like that. So they're one of those teams, man. It's just really hard to go against. But North Carolina Christian, man, obviously, showed with that. To me, in my opinion, with that win last week over Savannah Christian, that they are just as elite and ready to compete for a state title as anybody else in that classification. But I'm gonna lean with the experience of Prince Ave constantly getting there over the years. I'm gonna lean towards Prince Ave.
All right, man. Big time matchup to the right. These two teams have faced earlier this season, and Hebron did emerge victorious, I believe, 38-13, 38-18. So, I mean, you got to lead on the side of history. I'm a roll with Hebron Christian. I know it's tough to beat a team twice, but we got to rush and attack like theirs. Devin Caldwell is leading the team in total touchdowns with 20. And you also got to sack artist Carrington Coombs. Those are definitely two names to watch out for. But I'm going to try to start with you at the top, Mr. Wilkins, man. Just give us your insight. You know what I'm saying? Give us who you like.
Yeah, man. So this is going to be another really good game. Two powerhouses, I think, and in recent memory. Like when you think about private, you don't really think of these schools. But with the reclassification, both of these programs are great. Hebron Christian's been right there knocking on the door with Coach Guest. Seachin John's another one to watch out for, the Virginia signee now. He's been having a phenomenal just career coming into his own. Really great player on and off the field. Great character. He's going to be one to watch too. And then it's the offense. A lot of people don't know about that offense, but Thomas Stallworth, with what he's doing at the quarterback position, there's Devon Caldwell running the football. KJ Thomas, who plays both sides of the ball and has been electric. Garrett Kemp, another one, an outside receiver for them, plays both ways. Like, they got guys all over the field, that Hebron Christian team. But then when you look at Fellowship Christian, they can run it with C.J. Givers, who is probably one of the best 2026 running backs we have here in the state. It doesn't get enough credit and praise, in my humble opinion. And then they got Josh Petty, who plays both ways for them. For Tech fans that are continue to watch on the YouTube, you've seen his film yesterday, his ability to plug lanes, rush the passer, being kind of that staple tackle. And then they got, obviously, Evan Haynes, another star receiver, I think, that's going to UNC, that's having an electric season for the Paladins. You know what I'm saying? So this team can play. They're well coached. And I think this is going to come down to the end, man. And I'm going to roll with Fellowship to come out on top and get into the state championship.
Mr. Lewis.
I have to agree. I think Fellowship is, and for me, it's just Josh Petty, man. He is such a difference maker, being, the way he's able to impact both sides of the ball. Short, sweet, and simple, man. I'm going with Fellowship Christian on this one.
All right. If there be no more teams, which I know there isn't, we would have to wrap up our preview for the semifinals of GHSA edition. And with that being, go ahead, brother. I'll allude to you.
Yes, sir. Well, I'm going to let you get us started, Bacon. And let's go to your report. Tech fans, if you're still watching, we're going to talk a little bit about that. We had a great report today on SI. So go ahead and check it out, man. I seen it kind of got a little bit of motion there, man. Some fans was tuning in. I saw you're liking the Bacon Network. So let's go ahead and pull it up real quick, talk some Tech football, and then I want to bring in Day too, just to get his thoughts on the college football playoff. I don't know if he's been watching it, but just seeing the latest rankings, we want to talk about that as well. But let's talk about this. In this article, Bacon, you outlined some instant impact players, 3 potential instant impact players for 2025 class. You got Dalen Pitson here, obviously pictured. But let's go ahead and start. Say Harris. Let's go to each level 3, or go by step by step. Let's start with Say Harris. Why do you feel like he could be an instant impact player? And hold on before you start. Yes, sir, Turner Davis, man. Much love to you, brother. I appreciate you coming on the show. This past Wednesday, man, announcing your decision, man. Gonna always support you, man. Tag me and stuff in college, and I will always like a retweet, brother. So definitely see you and see what you're doing, man. Go ahead, Bacon. I'm sorry.
Nah, you good, brother. Before I start, man, I would have probably put Josh Petty on this list, but the situation was going on. He wasn't signed. But to start with Tay Harris, man, just a specimen, man. Could do it all. Very cerebral in his point of attack. Film junkie, and that's what you like. Runs a 4.3 40, man. So, to be able to be fast, physical, and have coverage ability, And I mean, was it? I think it was a Jags article. He was talking about the press conference, and they asked Coach Key just how the whole process unfolded, of how they got him to flip, and they just stayed persistent. They see what they want. They just stayed persistent. That's how it came about. But what he said really stood out to me is he's already hitting up the players. Yeah, hey, I'm glad to be a part of this. Can't wait to meet y'all. And he was like, yeah, man, you know what I'm saying? The players have already embraced him just through electronic contact. You know what I'm saying? That's what you want in your locker room. Somebody else is going to build up everybody else, you know what I'm saying, and be a leader, man. He phrased him as an alpha. So that's big time, especially for a kid that's still a teenager. But like I said, man, just being somebody who can run hash to hash, sideline to sideline, and cover at elite ability. Also, I'm saying his relationship with Nick Chubb, you know what I'm saying, that's big too. Having somebody you can lean on who's already a decorated player. We all know what he's doing at the NFL level, man. That's just gonna give him that extra edge, you know what I'm saying, extra boost over the prey, man. So that's what I think about Teddy Harris. Number 2, if we can scroll down, it's the defensive, huh?
Nope. No, go ahead. Keep going.
Defensive end from Grayson, Andre Fuller, man. Another guy who I believe is going to come in and make an impact day one because of his pass rush ability. His get off is very elite, very electric. And you know what I'm saying? You can see it down from the 1, 2, 3, 4, 4th and 5th line from the bottom. He has 33 hurries for Grayson this year. That's insane for a Tech team who I think is averaging maybe a little over, a little under 10 sacks as a team total. I think he's going to be somebody who can come in and contribute day one. He can, like I said, he's got to get off and he can run, being clocked at 20 miles per hour. And I know that wasn't his full speed capability. So the brother's probably, he's got a little more RPMs that we don't know about just yet. So he only rated 3-star. I think that's a little low, just to the upside he brings. But and he has a little experience at long snappers, you know what I'm saying? So if you got to get on the field, special teams, you know what I'm saying, he can long start that ball to the punter and possibly be the first or second man downfield to knock down the ball carrier. So I think that's big. And third person who was pictured in the article, Dalen Pinson, man, just a guy, elite speed. You know what I'm saying? All three of these guys, I believe, have elite speed at their position, and Dalen Pinson is no different. I believe he's a state championship athlete at triple jump. But what stands out to me most importantly is just the dog he's got. I saw him at the Grayson Patty Camp, Grayson OTA this spring, and he was drawing back and forth with a Gainesville player, rightfully so. You know what I'm saying? What you got to do, man? You got to get in your opponent's head. And so the next play, brother, he jumped a route so nasty. I'm like, bro, I wish I could have got it on camera, but sometimes you got to put the electronics down and just soak in things organically, and that's what I did so well. And but the brother's just elite, man. I think he come in, maybe not early on, but maybe like week 4 with some injuries kind of mount up and earn a spot. But I think we will definitely hear about his name training camp. Of course, I believe all three of these young men are early enrollees, so that just gives them that much more advantage to go in and understand the defensive playbook more. But actually, scroll back up. But I want to go back to Andre Fuller. I want to read the tweet that his coach said about Fuller, which is very big. Coach Greg Carswell, at 4:50 a.m., all I can think about is how blessed I am to coach a kid like Andre Fuller. This young man is so special. He's a generational talent. Coaches just don't say that about their kid just to be saying things, man. That's big. Love all that you have poured into him. Stocks going up. Talking about Coach Tufts Jr., another coach at Grayson, I'm assuming. But that's just elite, man. So big shout out to Andre Fuller. Big shout out to Coach Greg for those words. But like I said, everybody's going to be elite on this page. And like I said, them being an early enrollee is just going to help their time as they grab that defense. That's all I got, man. If you brothers want to allude to anything, add anything you think I may have missed.
What's your thoughts? I know you be around the city a lot, Day. What's your thoughts on what Georgia Tech's been able to accomplish, just not only on the field but also recruiting and bringing in this elite class?
Yeah, I mean, listen, what Coach Key is doing over at Tech, man, is amazing. And that's a guy. He's a Georgia Tech alum. He eats, breathes, sleeps Georgia Tech Yellow Jacket football. So he understands, and that's what Georgia Tech has needed. They've needed a guy that's come from that program, that knows what it's like to play for that program when it is relevant. And he's starting to win battles because that's part of the key for Georgia Tech is they got to win some of these local recruiting battles. Yeah, sure, it's great to get some top kids from Alabama, Carolina, California, Florida, wherever. But I mean, the amount of talent that's coming out of Georgia that we're either going to the UGA or leaving the state altogether, man. If he can start winning these battles, which he's showing he's starting to do now, and if he can continue that, man, listen, I mean, and we saw the product that they put on the field, in particularly against Georgia this past weekend, man. Listen, um, Coach Key, man, hats off to him. That's all I can say, man. Phenomenal job he's doing with turning that program around. And again, it's going to come down to him continuously being able to win these in-state battles with some of these 4 and 5-star recruit kids, man. The more and more he does that, man, I do believe the more and more we start seeing Georgia Tech being relevant in national conversations year after year.
All right. And before we move on, talk just real quick about the rankings and championships. We're moving to our hoop section. Bacon, any questions you got on just Tech football and the latest on that?
Any questions about Tech football?
Yeah. Anything? Any lingering questions or anything you've seen that has caught your eye?
Well, I didn't hear your full explanation of the whole Josh Petty thing last night. I missed that on the show. So if you want to, reiterate that for myself and the guests, I won't hold you back.
Yeah, man. So basically, it's a contractual thing, as I was telling the people yesterday. So what's going on now is for these elite players, and this is no disrespect to Petty. Petty's a great kid, great character, great mindset. He's really comes from a great family. But when you see what these kids are starting to have agents and marketing firms, and they have these NIL deals, and they want to make sure all the language and the verbiage is right when you look at it. So that's why you've seen it. I got a great question yesterday that was asking about, do you think that's why we hired the Chicago player personnel? For sure, because you're going to need them to be able to kind of smooth out this process and make it easier. This is no longer you're signing a letter of intent. You're signing contracts. You're signing deals, that things that you have to uphold. So these players is getting this early on so they can see what it's going to be like when you go into the NFL. That's the part I do like about it. And they got to be smart. You know what I'm saying? You got to make sure everything aligns, and you got to make sure that you helping yourself out, your family, and everything that you want to do. So that's what's kind of taking so long on it. But it should be good to go. I still haven't seen any sign yet, but they're working through the details. He should be finalized tomorrow, though, from what I've heard per multiple sources.
Man, that's everything. All the questions I had, brother. That was great insight, man. You definitely got to keep your nose clean when you're moving around, signing your name on that line, man.
100%.
No going back.
Yes, sir. All right, now I gotta get I gotta get Day-Day's reaction to this. So, I mean, these rankings, I've done a video on it. I think it's crazy. Cam Ward's called it out. But let me pull up this tweet real quick, and I just want Day-Day to react just to these college football playoff rankings, man. It's very intriguing. We didn't talk about it on Tuesday, but Day-Day, man, just what's your thoughts? Do you think this is fair? Do you think they're favoring the SEC too much? Just what's the reaction after seeing something like this? And you know what I'm saying, it's 1 through 25 and Bama being above Miami, and just what's your thoughts?
Honestly, the one that shocked me the most was that Ohio State didn't drop further than they did. I think they got lucky. You know what I mean? Because they're locked in. You know what I mean? Because they're not playing in their conference championship. And if you listen to Ward Manuel the other night, his explanation, he said that any of the teams that basically, if you're in the top, in the 12, there's not going to be any changes for any teams that aren't playing for anything at this point. So Ohio State, man, they got gifted by only being dropped to 6, number one. That was the biggest thing that jumped out to me. I thought that they would have dropped. Honestly, I thought at least Tennessee would have been ahead of them as well. But the Miami and Alabama thing, it is the problem with this is the committee has not given us a real clear-cut definition of their process. There's so many layers to what they consider. Head-to-head is considered. strength of schedule is considered. How many ranked opponents you beat, how many ranked opponents you lost to, all that is considered. And so if you do kind of take all that in, Alabama being ahead of Miami somewhat does make sense. The question is going to be is what happens if Clemson at number 17 beats SMU in the ACC championship? That's going to be the real question because do you drop SMU all the way out of the 12 and bring in, I guess Clemson? Same thing with Boise State. Not to say that they're going to lose to UNLV, but what happens if they do? Those are kind of some of the intriguing questions for me as to, the what if scenarios because, again, there's no real to me, their formula for how they're making the selection is so it's a little bit everywhere. I don't think they have a real concise, this is what it is, and no matter what, that's not there. I think there's so many elements that they're trying to consider, and I just think it muddies the waters a little bit when they're doing this, and I just think that eventually, if it don't happen this year, I think there's going to be a year where all of a sudden they've found themselves in a situation where there's going to be some teams that you got to leave out, but you really shouldn't be leaving out. So that was, like I said, Ohio State really was the biggest shocker for me. I really thought they would have dropped lower. Other than that, I didn't have a problem with the rankings.
Go ahead, Bacon. I'm sorry, I just broke some news. Go ahead, Bacon.
Nah, you good. My only black eye on this list is really South Carolina, man. I really think they should be in the place of Alabama. Losing a close game to them, beating a talented team in Clemson. I just think Coach Beamer said it best we did, and they alluded to it as well, as we don't know what the criteria of the committee is, man. If it's based off criteria in the past, I think they put South Carolina in. I think it's a name brand rating type of vibe, which I understand, man. Everybody's got to make their money, but I think that's the only black eye on this list is having South Carolina outside the playoffs right now. That's pretty much it though.
I agree with y'all. Y'all bring up some great points. My concern is the precedent you're setting. When I broke down the Alabama, now I understand they're a top team in the ACC, and I know what they have been able to do, or SEC, I should say. I know what they've been able to do, but they got some ugly losses, man. Like they lost to Vanderbilt. That's an ugly loss. They're only 6-6. They got pummeled by Oklahoma. Like that's a terrible loss. Now, when we look at Miami, they've lost to Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech is a lot better than what we thought. They throttled Georgia. Now, granted, Georgia won in 8 overtimes. Took a historic win for them to beat basically Georgia Tech. So that's not that bad of a loss. And then they lost to Syracuse, who's ranked number 22 in your rankings. So my thing with the committee is I understand the strength of schedule with Alabama is better. They're 3-1 against top 25. But what are we really saying here? We're saying that we favor the brand more than anything, and that is Alabama in the SEC. Now, I know we pick in certain parts, but a 10-2 team should be in humbly. You know what I'm saying? I think over the others. Now, South Carolina, I will put them in over Bama because they're playing better football right now. You know what I'm saying? And they've beaten some really good teams. You know, they've beaten Clemson. They've beaten, you know what I'm saying? They got kind of screwed over with the LSU game. Like, they have some really good wins on their resume. And I think, the way Lenore Sellers and Raheem Sanders is playing, they deserve to be in.
Yeah, South Carolina probably is the one team that I kind of was hoping could make a jump. But again, based on if you kind of just watch how the community was laying this out these last few weeks, you kind of almost knew South Carolina was just going to be sitting right there. Again, and part of the problem was the fact that Miami, you got an Alabama that beat a Georgia, right? You still got to factor that in.
Yeah.
You've got Miami. I think what kind of messed it up maybe for South Carolina was Miami losing this weekend because, I don't think they were going to necessarily drop them that far out of it because to your point, Syracuse, they lost to two teams that are very good teams, Georgia Tech and Syracuse. So I think that's kind of what kind of may have, hung things up a little bit as far as South Carolina getting any further past, um, getting into the 12, I should say, because then look, you got Ole Miss sitting right there as
Mhm.
well. Does South Carolina go ahead of Ole Miss, who Ole Miss beat them head to head?
Hmm. Hmm. That's true.
So
That's true.
I think that's and we're all kind of saying the same thing. Like the criteria for the committee is very like it's not cut and dry, and so I don't think I don't think we'll ever have a year of where they really kind of get it right.
That's a good point. That's a good point. All right. So I love getting y'all takes in. And yes, sir. All right, sorry. Yes, Petty is in. I just broke the news on my ex. Okay, I've also put it on the YouTube handle. Okay, he is in. I just got the news. I broke it on X, so y'all all know. Follow me on there. It's on the channel exclusively for me. You know what I'm saying? I know other people have been talking about it, but he is signed, sealed, and delivered. So Tech fans, y'all can rest now. I told y'all what was going to happen. I thought tomorrow, but it's official at 10 o'clock. So you're welcome. But nonetheless, it's not about me. Let's talk about the gentleman. Sorry, y'all. I've been on my phone. It's just, hey, it's hectic being an insider, y'all. Like when you start getting news and being able to break it, it goes your phone always blowing up, man. So it'd be kind of crazy. But nonetheless, I'm gonna turn it over to y'all. I think we're good. Just what are you guys' quick thoughts before we move on to basketball? Just quick thoughts on the ACC and SEC championships. Let me get a quick couple winners from Day Day and Bacon. Let me start with Bacon.
ACC. Let's start with SEC. Man, it's tough. It's going to depend on. I'm gonna roll with UGA, man. People may think that's an unpopular opinion. I'm gonna go back to the painful Georgia Tech loss, man. I just it's tough to go against Kirby Smart, man. He's got that Nick Saban, the Nick Saban aura, if you will, man. Just understanding and understanding the minute things about the game of football and being able to position and shift on the dime. I know he has a great coaching staff, but we all know Kirby is a savant of the game, and he's gonna have those young men ready to play come this Saturday at 4 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna roll with the Bulldogs. As far as the ACC, it's SMU, not SMU, SMU versus is Q's.
Clemson.
Clemson, that's right. That's right. Versus Clemson. That's tough. I'm gonna say SMU, and I'm gonna leave it at that. SMU.
Go ahead, Day Day.
I'll start with the ACC. I know Clemson is kind of, I know people probably feel like Dabo. You know, they've kind of been scrutinized a bit this year, but they've also kind of been off the radar where we're not talking about them in the capacity that we've had in the past, where they were right there in the mix for the title prior to us expanding and everything. So if you were paying attention, Clemson actually, Klubnik actually kind of they kind of turned things on offensively. And they were quietly like doing their thing. I know SMU is super talented, but it's kind of hard to, you got Dabo in a situation where he knows now. First of all, you got the fact that he's been scrutinized because of his take on the portal and NIL, but now he's in a prime position to not only win the ACC championship, but get his team into this playoff and potentially go on a run to a championship. I think Dabo's going to go in there. I think the Tigers are going to go in there with a point to prove. So I think, and there's a part of me that hopes as well Clemson wins this because again, SMU loss is going to be very intriguing to see what the committee does with them if they lose. Because right now they're slated as an automatic buy. But if they lose, what does the committee do with them? So, but overall, I do really like Clemson to win that one. SEC, man, listen, you mentioned it, Bacon, I think earlier about, I think when we were talking about high school, about, hard to beat a team twice. Look, and that's something Kirby is not worried about. He's not worried about what people, the slogans and all that. But the problem with Georgia is they have just not been consistent. They have not been consistent. Well, I'll take that back. They've been consistent. They've been consistently starting slow, and that has to change. That has to change. They've got to come out. We've got to see Carson Beck play like the Carson Beck that we had expectations of when this season started. Um, in order for them, because I just think Texas. You got to remember when they played Texas, Quinn Ewers, that was just his second game back from injury. So there's a chance, he was probably still kind of working through some cobwebs, things of that nature. So, and I think, if these reports are true that, Steve Sarkisian is planning on, doing a little mashup a little bit, and throwing some Arch Manning in the mix. That's something that Kirby and them got a plan for. So, the Dogs' defense they've held their own throughout the season, but it's the offense that has struggled. So that's the concern that I have. It's really hard to say I think Georgia's going to win this game. Honestly, I really don't like it. I think Texas is a favorite. I think it's up to like 3 now, 3-point favorite. I think Georgia can cover, but I think Texas can still win by like a point or two.
Our man Day is funny, man. They continue to start slow. Yo, you made my night with that comment, Day. You right though, man.
I mean, but it's true though.
They're really lucky they beat Tech, man. If we're being honest, man. They're really fortunate, man. But I agree with you, man. I'm gonna go ahead and start there. All right, I'm gonna start there. And I agree with this comment right here. They do. They got too many serious flaws. Their quarterback's not that good. Now he's been playing better, but the way he was dirting the football, Bacon, you was right on the sideline, so you got a chance to see what the quarterback was doing. I was up.
But let's not forget about those receivers dropping those passes as well.
Yeah. When are we gonna keep making that excuse for Beck though? You right, but when we gonna keep making that excuse though? You know what I'm saying? He was dirting some balls in there too, but you're right. He was dirting some balls in there, man. But you're right. They did have a lot of drops, so I agree with you. They need to go get some receivers, but they've done that. They got Taylor coming in 5-star, CJ Wiley. This class will be a lot better. But I'm with you, Day. I'm going to go Texas. I think Texas gets revenge. This is a team that's playing very high right now. The defense is playing at an elite level when you look at Anthony Hill Jr. and how they can shut you down. And they want that revenge. They want this game with Georgia because they want to show that they are the supreme in the SEC. And a lot of people said they couldn't do it the first year and going there and battling and being able to win an SEC championship. Think about how much that would go for their program and the moxie and what they're able to do going forward. And I think this is a game they can establish themselves as a national contender. You know what I'm saying? And that they're coming for the throne. So I'm going with Texas. I think Georgia's way too flawed. And I think they're going to be the more physical team that day. And I think they're going to put it on Texas. Now, I could be wrong. We will find out what happens. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going with Texas. And I think they win by a touchdown, probably up to 10 points. The other one, I'm going with Clemson. And I agree with you, Day. I want to see what the committee does. Does the 2-loss SMU team don't deserve to be in? Because their resume is way worse than Miami's, if we're being honest. Way worse than Miami's. But they've had a great year, so we're going to include them out because they lost 2 losses and the schedule doesn't match up. But what that's going to do for the ACC and obviously, I think his name is Jim Phillips, the ACC director over the whole thing, they're going to have to schedule harder. You know what I'm saying? Like for Miami, you can't schedule FMU and Ball State. You got to start going with these harder teams. And I think that's going to set the precedent for that. And to a degree, and I want to get your take on this real quick before we go to basketball, Day. Do you feel like the ACC is kind of being a little bit disrespected by the committee? Like last year, Florida State didn't get in. Now, I know Jordan Travis was hurt in circumstance. They were 12-0. They put 11-1 Bama team in. Now, this year, you have the potential same thing with Bama getting in over Miami, who's had a good year. Do you feel like they're getting slighted a little bit?
I just feel like a little bit of disrespect or, just a little like, you guys are cute, but, we like the big boys over here. But the only problem I have with it is, you've got a Boise State out of, the Mountain West?
Mm-hmm.
You mean to tell me you consider the Mountain West more of a competitive conference than the ACC? You know what I mean? So it's a little weird to see how they're kind of treating the ACC, but because I think right now the way it's based, if we, ACC is only going to get one team in. It looks like, if SMU wins, if Clemson wins again, will they put 2 ACC teams in? And if they do, so they're going to have to move somebody. Alabama might have to get moved out, which is interesting because they said teams not playing won't move.
Right.
So they're kind of contradicting themselves. So this is going to be interesting if Clemson wins this game.
You're right. I agree, man. It's gonna be fun, and we're gonna have to see what kind of happens there, man. Gonna be very intriguing, to say the least. But great takes by you. I see you be up on game with the college football too, huh, Day? Do a little bit of everything.
Trying to be.
100%. Bacon, I turn over you, man. You are our host for the hoops segment. You and Day, so I turn over y'all, man, and talk some hoops.
Nah, for sure, man. For the transition to, I guess we call we can run a 3-man. We back again. But we will open it up with Pace Academy's Chandler Bing. He reopens his recruitment from Texas, not Texas, Texas Southern, Texas State, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, I wouldn't say I can kind of see it, but so you can see his game. I think he's elite. He's elite for sure. I think he's like 6'6". Let me see how tall my brother is. But elite level guard, man. He can put on the floor. He's 6'7" wing, 6'7" 4, whatever you want to say. Elite level guard. He can do it all. Last game, 10 points, 8 rebounds, 5 steals. Obviously, he's a defender. He can put the ball through the hoop. You got somebody like that. I think power forward type of player, man. Goes to Pace Academy. We know he keep up in the books. It's not a surprise. I'm sure the big schools are at his phone. So I'm gonna turn the floor over to Mr. Lewis, man. Just give me your insight, brother.
To me, what that sounds like, man. First of all, he's being coached by a phenomenal person in Coach Sharman White, and so it just sounds like more and more teams have, starting to pay attention. And that's what that sounds like to me. Not to say that, he just, but typically, these types of situations, when they reopen those commitments, the interests are there may be some interests that maybe weren't there before, as far as schools. It sounds like it could be a situation where now there's some programs where, he wants to kind of, reevaluate his options. We'll say it that way. As far as, who he decides he wants to commit with. So, but, they're having a great season thus far. I love high school basketball, and college basketball too, man. I love it because, you see some really good matchups early on, and you really get to see how some of these guys stack up. And that's probably another thing that's playing a role, as far as if, maybe that's the case, if there's interest from, new interest coming his way, maybe it's because they're seeing him play against some of these top talented teams that they've been playing against here early on in the season, whether it be in some of these early tournaments and whatnot.
Most definitely.
I want to relay that point to what Day just said, and I 100% agree. When you playing top level talent and you putting them in front of that, that's only going to help their game, and it's going to put them in front of more exposure. Let's think about it, right? That game he popped off, 37 against Holly Innocence. Who do they have? The number one player, top player in Georgia, one of the top players in the country, according, I think, to ESPN rankings that came out today. Number 6, Caleb Wilson, 37. You know what I'm saying? And Caleb's a dog himself. Like, nobody has had an answer for him this year. But those are the type of games you start to establish yourself. And I like what obviously he said, too, about Coach Sharman White, great person on and off the court. And he got a great staff around him. He knows when the elite talent is, led them to, I think it was a U18 championship in the Olympics, I believe it was. So his resume and pedigree speaks for itself. So he's going to schedule them tough and get them in front of that exposure. So I love that Bing is getting these opportunities. And now he'll be able to go to probably a higher end program to show really what he can do. And they got Luscano and he got Braylon Craft, who both are freshmen that's seeing it for a little bit, but already got Team USA invite. So this team's going to be loaded for years, and Coach White knows what he's doing, going back to the Miller Grove days, man. So just love to see and love his opportunities that are coming.
100%. All right. Now you have the graphic. We're going to move on to the updated list, ESPN's power rankings.
Yeah, give me one moment. I got you, brother. Hold on one second. I think that was that Slam that had that?
Slam.
Either Slam or
ESPN.
One sec, y'all.
You good, brother. Take your time, man.
I think it was Sports Center next. Oh no. Okay. Did you want it to stay on 25? They did like 25 and 26 and 27. Just
We
25.
can just stay on 25.
All right, sounds good, brother. I'm about to share the screen so y'all can see, and all up to you, Bacon.
All right. As we know, AJ Devonson reclassified. He dropped his top 3 today. BYU was in it. I believe Alabama was in it as well. Kansas. You got Darren Peterson, Cameron Boozer, Nate Ament, Kristen Nag, Caleb Wilson, as we already talked about, at number 6. Darius Acuff at 7. Koa P at 8. Michael Brown, elite guard. Let me see if we got any more. No more Georgia players on this list. But I mean, it's shaping up. Jasper Johnson actually in Atlanta playing at OTE. Let's see, Trey McKinney is elite as well. Caden Boozer, Cam's brother at 17. I know that's been getting some. It's been getting some shade. I like Caden Boozer, man. He can pass the ball, rebound. He can defend as well at a high level. His offensive bag is. Let's get some tricks in it. So I like Caden Boozer at 17, man. Who else we got here? Let's see. Isaiah Harwell, another elite wing. You know what I'm saying? Does anybody stand out to you, Daddy, on this list?
No, I mean this is a solid top 25. And this is their 100. It's always tough with these types of lists, man. I don't necessarily get into them as far as who's really, because it's really going to come down to where they go and the type of programs they find themselves in. But I mean, these are all solid players that again, it really will boil down to once they make their commitments. Are they at programs that are really being able to, their talents are being really showcased. But for me personally, it's always just fun. And being, I guess it's the homer in me, but when Georgia kids are ranked on these lists, because there was a time, man, where Georgia was, when we talked about disrespect about the ACC, there was a time where Georgia would kind of be disrespected when it came to basketball, despite the fact that number 1 picks and first round picks were coming out in the NBA draft year after year, from Georgia. But it's really just good to see the Georgia kids be recognized in these types of lists more, and it ain't just one. It's multiple. So I don't really have a problem. There's no. These are all solid names. I just don't personally. It's really hard for me to really say, if this is the proper order for them.
I agree, man. It's a lot of even at the NBA level, we see guys who go number 1 over every, multiple years. They end up not panning out. It's really about being in the right situation and having the right structure around you. But a kid who I think's got the right structure was just reclassified to the 2025, Elijah Arenas, Gil's son, Gilbert Arenas, No Chill Gil. If you watch his podcast, just being a young man and having a father who's not, kind of just giving them. He had to earn it. Set him up with a coach who's like, yeah, man, who said it on the Switch Coaches podcast. It's like, man, I don't care who your dad is. I don't care who you are. You got to come in here and earn this thing, man. And being a 6'6" point guard who can do it all, man, has been playing with NBA talent. This whole off season. We're playing with Chet Holmgren, Klay Thompson, you name it. Who else did he play with? Small guards. But, to do that, that just speaks to the type of player he is and is going to become. Malik Thomas is also a league guard, playing at OTE as well. From Pittsburgh, got that dog to him, real gritty, loves to play defense, loves to make plays, and definitely loves to let you know about it. So I'll say, well, let's do this. Let's do if I know you're not big on the rankings, but just give me, I say, your top 5 favorite athletes on this list that you want to see at the next level.
Good question.
I definitely want to see both the bruisers. I was shocked. Now I will say, like you mentioned about Caden getting catching shade for being down at 17. And I've got a chance to see. I saw them last year. I didn't see them this year because they were just here over the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't get a chance to go. Well, I was there, but I left before they played. But I saw them last year at the hoops giving. I think it was at Kip Academy last year. But I just love the way they play together. Obviously, watching Caleb since he was a freshman, he would be probably third. And then where is he? I saw him. Where'd he go? Where'd he go? Where'd he go? Uh, where'd he go? Isaiah Harwell. I like Isaiah Harwell. And again, I don't know that I'd have him down at 19. I just like how he plays. For me, it's just about how kids play, and then just kind of imagining like, okay, if he ends up in this type of system, he's going to be something special. And then I'd probably say for the fifth, it'd probably be probably Michael Brown.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, sorry about that, y'all. The eye's starting to burn.
Yeah. It's that screen time.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think Michael's definitely in my top 5, probably at 4. Let's see. Definitely want to see number one. I'll probably say Caleb. You know what I mean? Wherever he goes, Kentucky, UNC. Caleb number 1. 2 will go. 2 will go Elijah Arenas. I really want to see. I'm saying he's crafty. I really want to see how he plays at the next level. 3, I say Jasper Johnson. I know he's an elite bucket getter, but I just want to see how it all pans out playing with it's not Asa Newell. I think it is Asa. Asa at Kentucky as well. You know what I'm saying? So that's 3, and like I said, 4. For the 5th spot, 4 was Michael Brown. 5. I'll say Caden Boozer, man. You know what I'm saying? Just because he can the shade, man. I want him saying see. I think they commit to Duke. See him go to Duke. You know what I'm saying? Make some big time shots, and allow it to be a proving ground for him. Because Duke is one of the biggest platforms you can get in college basketball. So that's my 5, Mr. Wilkins. If you want to chime in.
Yeah, man, my top 5 that I like here, obviously Dembasta. I want to see how he translates to the next level. Just a 3-level prolific scorer. Can get to anywhere on the floor, has a nice floater. I mean, he can just do anything, man. We got to see him at Nike EYBL and how explosive he is. So he's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be interesting to see if he's going to maybe go to Utah. You know what I'm saying? Not Utah, I'm sorry, BYU. Yeah, that's interesting. Their program hasn't really been that notable since Jimmer Fredette, if you really think about it. Like, they have not been in that kind of conversation for a while. And then we look at Caleb Wilson. It feels like it's going to be Kentucky, him, Jasper Johnson, and Caden Lewis. That just seems like the next trio. And we see what they're doing. They unfortunately lost to Clemson this past week in a barn burner, in an elite contest between them. But Caleb Wilson, how does he translate to the next level? I'm excited for that. Cameron Boozer's another one. He went toe-to-toe with Dembasta. And he looks like he could be the best player in this class. Obviously, Dembasta is great, but don't sleep on Boozer, man. He could do a little bit of everything, and he don't shy away from contact, don't shy away from playing people either. So I'm excited to see him at Duke, and Duke looks good for years to come. Oh, man. And that Cameron Indoor Stadium, Lord, that audience is different. And then Michael Brown's going to be another one for me. I'm excited to watch at the next level, what he can do, how explosive he can be. Can defenses slow him down? Has a little bit of everything in this package. He's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And last but not least, definitely Jasper Johnson, man. We seen him take over that game in Atlanta at Cartersville in the EYBL Bacon. I mean, kind of had a slow going, but just to see somebody be able to take over like that, score 20, 25 in the second half, Lord.
Yeah.
I want to see him on the next level. I'm going to try to get to, what is it called? I cannot think of that thing. OTE, to be able to see him in person. I know you have already, Bacon, but that kid is electric, and he's going to be great at Kentucky.
Without a doubt. Let's see, it's 10:25. All right. Moving on from the rankings in high school, we're going to transition into college ball, man. We're going to talk about the Duke Blue Devils once again. And Isaiah Evans, he made his showing last night. 6 for 8 from 3, ended up 6 for 9, took a little mid-range or layup, I'm not sure what it was, but to be 6 for 8 for 3, to have that type of confidence, you know what I'm saying, to be playing in his first game, that just shows you what type of player that he is, man. If you didn't already know, if you've seen the highlights last year, and him being himself, you know what I'm saying, telling you how it is and coming up in big moments, man, there he is, brother. You know what I'm saying? Slim. They won 84 to 78 over the number 2 ranked team Auburn last night. He had a very big part in that win. I believe dang.
Cooper.
Brother Coop, yeah, Coop had like
22 2 blocks, 11 more.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Hey, they know.
Go ahead, brother.
Yeah. What's your reaction to that game? I mean, that game was electric, man. Just what's your thoughts?
That was a great game. That was a great game. You know, first of all, Auburn looked like they were just going to run Duke out of their own gym early on. I happened to be sitting here working on some editing, and then I'm like, dang. And then I'm editing, and I look up, and they see, Duke's down by 2. And I was like, oh, we got a game. And then Duke looks like they're going to run away with it. And then next thing you know, Auburn's back within 4. So first of all, it was just a phenomenal game in general. Both teams, Auburn didn't get as much help as they probably needed last night. What's the guy's name? I can see his head with the braid. Broom.
Yeah,
Broom.
Johnny Broom. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Broom. I don't think they got enough help from the starters. I want to say 2 of the starters were scoreless, if I'm not mistaken. So I think that kind of was a factor for them. But as far as what I thought of the game, I thought it was a phenomenal game. Like you said, Evans, the other guard that was knocking down threes with the hair. What's his name? He had a clutch 3 that put him back. But like Auburn got within like 2, and then he knocks down a 3, I think.
Todd Pettiford, he was electric in that game too.
It could have been. I can't remember, but it was and I'm not a Duke fan. I'm a North Carolina fan. They got drugged last night before that game. But I mean, that was just a phenomenal game. If you're just a basketball fan, that was a fun game to watch. Just the back and forth, and just to see, would Duke be able to hold on? Which they weren't able to do. So great game. Obviously, a lot of people. I was asked earlier today if I think Cooper Flagg is without a doubt going to be the number 1 overall pick. I'll be honest with you, I don't know that he is just yet. Asa Newell is having a phenomenal season for Georgia. I know Rutgers had that loss last week to Kennesaw State.
Mm-hmm.
But, Ace Bailey and the other young man up there, I mean, I think it's going to be a tight race. I mean, we're so early in the season. It's so hard to say right now. The thing about Cooper Flagg is the fact that he's only freaking 17 years old, right? When does he even turn 18?
I think sometime this month.
So like that's the thing about him is just what he's able to do at his age.
Let's give him a moment to see we Taz back in. Nah, definitely. Duke is talented. I believe he was talking about Proctor, who hit that 3 for them last night.
Yeah,
Tyrese Proctor is a junior, 6'6" junior from Sydney, NSW. Not sure what that is, but definitely. Big win for Duke last night. Auburn, I could say that being the number 2 team in the country. Shout out to Isaiah Evans. I was trying to find a quote. Coach gave a blurb, a soundbite on Isaiah's performance last night. But I will read what Isaiah said about his performance. I'm used to being a flamethrower. I'm just happy I could contribute. It was amazing. Since I signed with Duke, I've always dreamed about being in a high-intensity game like that and delivering for my team, then coming out with the win. That's what's most important for me, getting meaningful buckets, getting stops on defense, getting timely rebounds. It just felt amazing out there, man. And that's exactly what he would say You know what I'm saying? That's just, you know what I'm saying? That's him, brother. You know what I'm saying? He's a flamethrower. He's a gunslinger, man. We seen it last year in Georgia at the Double Trouble Classic with him and Caleb Wilson went back and forth. That was a spectacle. So I'm saying hopefully they'll tap back in. We can get his final thoughts on Duke. But I'm saying while it's coming back, you know what I'm saying, we got to talk about Kansas. They lost to Creighton as well. You know what I mean? Let me pull up here. Kansas.
Oh, I think he's back.
He's back. All right.
What's going on, Dede? Can you hear us?
Look, I wasn't plugged up.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. It had booted you out.
Well, I wasn't plugged up. My laptop died.
Okay.
I forgot I didn't plug up.
No worries. As you pull that up, Bacon. But just finish your thoughts. They just on that game. I believe it was Tyrese Proctor. He ended up finding the name for you. The one
Proctor,
with the hair.
yes, it was Proctor. Yes, it was Proctor was the other kid. But again, Auburn didn't get a lot of help. Broom had a great game. He finished with 20 points, 12 rebounds, and they did get some production off the bench from Pettiford, but overall, I just think they didn't get enough production. But I think I was talking about Cooper Flagg, and I was just saying, like, that kid, man, and like when he's matched up against his length, man, when he's matched up against younger smaller players, like there's nothing you can do with him. Like it's just phenomenal to watch. And again, I don't even like Duke. You know what I'm saying? But the kid is phenomenal to watch. But I don't know if it's just that easy to say he's going to be the overall #1 pick just yet. Just because, again, you got Asa Newell having a great season. I think people knew about him, but I don't think people knew he was going to be this special.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. I mean, and like you said, I think right now he has a little bit of the edge in it. I think, as you said, Asa Newell is giving him a run for his money for that number overall pick, and I think Ace Bailey, when he's healthy and he's playing whole, and they got some games coming up. They got Ohio State, Penn State, so we're gonna see how for real Rutgers is as well coming up here pretty soon. But real quick before we go to the game in Kansas, we wrap up Bacon. I want to give some praise and credit to Isaiah Evans because he could have got frustrated. He could have been like, "Yo, why you not playing me? I'm a 5-star." But he continued to work and grind and put his head down. And his coach alluded to that as well. And now I just think he should be a bigger part of the rotation. You see what he could do. He is a bucket getter. 6 of 8 from 3. Hey, man, the kid's electric. We got a chance to see him. We see what he was doing up against Caleb Wilson last year, man. And we was like, whoa. Both interviewed him at the end, Bacon. I mean, you just got to play that kid. That kid is phenomenal. And he could be that potential difference maker for Duke. Everybody's going to talk about Cooper Flagg and Knuppel and that big-time big men they got. But Isaiah Evans could really be that difference maker for them, a bucket getter and somebody that can make a difference as far as, going to the tournament and beyond.
Most definitely sharing my screen right now.
All right, there you go.
All right, man. Kansas fell last night to the Creighton Blue Jays at 6-3. You know what I mean? You just have these moments as a team. You know what I'm saying? Like college basketball has already been this way. We see it in college football. There's a lot of teams. The talent is being spread out in college basketball. I think long gone, at least for a little while, are the days of just a lot of the top players stacking up on one team, on a few teams, and just dominating. Of course, we see other teams who have older players, and that's what we have here with Creighton. Pops Isaac led the way for Creighton. He had 27, 6 for 9 from 3, 10 for 15 from the field. Man, I mean, coach, you know what I'm saying? That's big time. Big time players make big time games. You got a double here. Ryan Couch-Benner, you know what I mean? 5-11 from the field, 7-8 from the free throw line. That's where the game is won and lost there realistically. 82% from the charity stripe to Kansas, 62.5. I mean, they had 9 offensive rebounds, but you know what I'm saying, you gotta knock down free throws. So I know Coach Bill Self will definitely put emphasis on that in practice. Hunter Dixon, you know what I'm saying, struggled. Only 4 shot attempts. Not sure really what happened there. Played 25 minutes. We got to see him put in more shots, especially being the perimeter. I mean, not the perimeter, the prime offensive threat for the team. Zeke Mayo transfer in. You know what I'm saying? It was just an off night, man. It shot 35% from the field, man. That's really what it came down to. Playing on the road, you know what I'm saying, the Rockets environment could definitely rattle any team on their best or worst day, and they just having to catch the Jayhawks, catch them lacking, man.
Yeah, they did. I mean, we knew this was coming. Better to come earlier in the season compared to late. Like you said, Hunter Dickinson struggled. He's probably one of their best players in that one, but didn't get enough from like guys like KJ Adams coming in there helping out. DeJuan Harris was their leading scorer, who was a very good point guard for them, runs the show, but him being your leading scorer, probably not how you want it. Now, he obviously can fill it up too, but you want him more so orchestrating and getting other guys involved. But just a struggle night, obviously, for Kansas, 35% from the field, and just 34% from three, 62% from the free throw line and charity stripe. So got to work on those things there. But, a big quad one win for Creighton. And when you make that kind of a win, that helps you going along as we talk about Selection Sunday later in March. And do they have enough quad one wins? And they pick that up at home with a major upset against the number one team in the country.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. The thing about, you touched on the shooting. Now, you can't win with a shooting night from the field of 25. I think it was 25 from 70 from the field for Kansas last night. So, obviously just, overall a off night for them. But at the same time, I think we have to remember Creighton's a team that's always right there kind of being, they're always in the tournament. They're always right there. A great program. And, Kansas, look, Coach Self has a solid team with the Jayhawks. I think not was that you, Najee, that just said better, or it might have been you, Bacon, but better to get that kind of one under the belt now, that one loss now, kind of reshuffle the deck a little bit and hopefully get back on track. Interesting night though, or interesting week, because you had Kansas fall, Auburn fall, Kentucky fall. So it's going to be an interesting, but we kind of start to see this more every year. The top, no one stays number one. This isn't like, I know I'm the old man of the group. This ain't when I was growing up. Typically number one stayed number one almost half the year.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And now number ones are falling like every 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think Coach Self is going to have his guys back right. It's early. That was what, their 7th game, 8th game, 7th game?
Yeah.
What's the record say?
7-1.
7-1. So 8th game, they'll be all right. I mean, to me, of all the kind of blue-blooded programs, I think Kansas is the one that's going to probably be the most consistent this year.
I agree. Being the record, not the record, the roster speaks for itself. And I'm saying, championship caliber coach. I agree with you, brother. I'm before we tap out and do our closing remarks, I'm just gonna look ahead. Let's just see the big matchups for. We got any big matchups tonight? Don't see any, so we'll go to Friday. All right. Georgetown, Indiana. Okay, you got Kennesaw State, Georgia State at the bottom here in Atlanta. That's gonna be an exciting game. Looking for the Blue Bloods, looking for the top 25s. What we got Saturday? I know we got some heat.
Yeah, I think you got a slate of 3 straight games on Saturday on one of the networks where it's like all some pretty good games, or at least notable name programs all kind of going up against each other. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's this Saturday.
At the SEC,
I want to say North Carolina is featured in one of them.
They play. Is it Tech? I just see them play Tech.
That might be it.
Yep.
Might be this Saturday. But you do have interesting one in Syracuse and Notre Dame. It's a pretty interesting matchup. Rutgers, Ohio State. Yeah. So there's a few of them on Saturday that are going to be. But the problem with Saturday is, man, it's championship Saturday for football. Right. Ain't nobody paying attention yet.
That's facts. I'm talking to people like, man, I don't watch basketball until after football season. I'm like, man, February it's about March.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Being towards the end,
they got to get a second TV. They got to put the put football on the big TV and basketball on the small TV. That's what I do.
He got that elite setup. He got that Stephen A. But for sure, that'll bring the 3-man weave to a close, man. Fellas, do you got any we want to end out on a giving our viewers any advice or just any life advice, whatever is on your heart, man. So, you know what I'm saying, whoever wants to go first, you got any closing remarks or any advice for the fans or for the supporters?
I'll go first. I would just say just keep going. You never know when your break's going to come or your opportunity, and definitely be prepared for it. So when it does come, you can capitalize on it. And the next thing is to network. And the reason I say that is I'm a prime example of that with Day Day. He's seen my talent and wanted to bring me on when I was in college. It didn't work out, but he still, continued to keep that relationship with me and brought me on later. And now we're doing a pod together. I know he's trying to get me on with, Odyssey and maybe potentially 929 the game or V103. So just being able to meet him and just bonding with him and learning from him as well has kind of helped me out in my career, and just being able to take. And that's another thing with young kids I want to say tonight as well. Be willing to take advice and be willing to listen to people that have been in the game longer than you. Stop always thinking that you know everything, right? You can always learn from people, and especially got people that are older than you and that have more experience. So that's one thing I want to leave with the audience today. Network, and if you do have somebody that wants to mentor you or give you advice, listen to it and take heed to it, because you never know how that might help you. And I think that's crucial when it comes down to it, and just find like-minded people just like you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That was good.
and kind of to on the flip side of what Najee was saying, even for someone that, if you've been in the game of whatever your grind is for a minute, don't ever be afraid to, don't ever get to a point where you feel like you can't learn. No matter how long you've been in it, no matter how old you are, never get to a point where you feel like you can no longer learn, and that you've reached the whatever, because the great legend Larry Tinsley, if you listen to V103 gospel music here in Atlanta, Georgia, that's something he taught me, told me a long time ago. He said that, that for him, that was always the key to why he's been in the business as long as he's been, which is well over, I think, 50 years now. It's because he never felt not comfortable, but he never got to a point where, he felt like, oh, I know it all and there's nothing else that I can learn. And I think that's something else kind of on the flip side of what Najee was saying for younger people. There's a lot of older people out here that, or even if you're not older, but you may have been at your craft for a while, you feel like, there's nothing else you can be taught about it. No, I never feel that way, man. You just never know, because that whatever, if you open yourself up to being willing to learn some new stuff or whatever the case may be, it could take where where you're at even further. So I would say that. And if there's any student athletes out there, man, that are locked in right now, or some parents of some student athletes, my biggest thing right now, man, is as the world shift when it comes down to recruiting, man. The ultimate goal is for your kid to go to school for free.
Mm.
And if they're a student athlete and if they're really passionate about playing and having playing time, find the program that fits both needs. They get a chance to get out there and showcase their talents, and that money, they're doing it scot free. It ain't coming out of your pocket. They ain't taking out loans. I get wanting to be at the top programs and all that kind of stuff, but at the end of the day, man, I don't know. My mindset is I don't want to play for Alabama if I ain't playing.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what, just to say I won a national championship? No, I want to be on the field. So, the world is changing, and with NIL and the transfer portal, you know, just as, kids are getting ready to make their announcements the day before, all these big names are talking about going into the portal. You
Mm.
know what I'm saying? You had several quarterbacks going into. If you were a top rated quarterback coming out, you're kind of having to be kind of concerned about where these transfer portal quarterbacks might end up. You know what I mean? So you got to start being, a little more realistic about, okay, let's just find the program that fits our needs of, again, you're going to school for free and your talents are being showcased. Because at the end of the day, in this day and age, if trying to go pro is the ultimate goal, you can get there. You ain't got to be at the top. You ain't got to be at a Georgia, Alabama, a Tennessee. You ain't got to be at those schools to make that happen in today's day and age. It's a new game. You know what I'm saying? So that would be my only advice for any student athletes, any parents out there, man. Just lock in on making sure you can get your kid to school, get that education further for free, and they get to enjoy doing what they do as a student athlete.
100%. I would say, don't be afraid to be yourself. Individuality is big. You know what I'm saying? Don't hesitate to educate yourself. Self-knowledge is the best knowledge. So always chase that. Always chase, like they say, you know what I'm saying, to better yourself every day. And small wins, you know what I mean? Daily, small wins equate to what I'm saying, mid-sized wins. Eventually, you know what I'm saying, you'll be knocking on the door of that national championship, that raise, you know what I'm saying, getting better at your craft, whatever it is. Just take that desire and that burning desire. You have that hunger with you every day, and you're gonna be all right, man. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have some ups and downs, but best foot forward every day is the key. And, you know what I'm saying? You gotta run your whistle your own way. You know what I'm saying? Your pace is the best pace. But definitely speed up that pace, grasshopper, when you can. For sure. That's what I'll leave y'all with. And I don't know what I'm saying. Whoever wants to close out.
I'll close this out, man. Appreciate y'all tuning in again. Thank you, Day. I know you are busy, man. I know you got kids and everything. I know you had your son's game. We appreciate you hopping on here.
Yeah.
Next week will be only hoops. Yes, sir. Next week will be only hoops. You know what I'm saying? That's usually what we do on Thursdays. We just combine that because we wasn't able to do Tuesday. Look, man, I was super busy for signing day, so I wasn't able to do it. I didn't want to rob y'all. You know what I'm saying? I want to make sure I'm on here clean, make sure I give y'all the facts and the news. All right. So that's why we didn't do Tuesday. But we'll be back at the regular scheduled time next week. Appreciate Day tuning in. Also, shout out to Bacon, the Bacon Network, Arvon Bacon. Make sure I say the name. Make sure I say the man name right. Arvon. We're saying his name. All right. All right, man. That's all we got. Tech fans, I will have an update and a video on Josh Petty here that's going to drop tonight as I broke the news here on live. Crazy to say that. But appreciate y'all tuning in. We're going to see y'all soon for some more hoops and the latest around Georgia high school basketball and also around the nation. See y'all soon. Peace.